see the final score, we track the revenue stream. Welcome to the show that treats the sports world like the multi-billion-dollar business it is. We dissect the ownership deals, the television right battles, the NIL impact, and the media figures driving the entire narrative. From Wall Street to the locker room, we follow the money and the people who control the message. Welcome to Press Row, the business of sports, right here on the Empty the Bench Network. Now, here's your hosts, Callan McClurg and Nick Morgasen. All right, we're back. Who would have thunk it? I think we are back. Hello again, my friends. Good morning. Happy Tuesday. It is a Tuesday edition of Press Row, an hour earlier, all the way until 1 o'clock Eastern time today, 4 p.m., 1 p.m. Pacific time, 4 p.m. Eastern. Back here as we once again take you on another 3-hour journey across the entire sports media and sports business worlds alongside our good man, Nick Morgasen, as always, from Plainview, New York. Callan McClurg here in San Diego, California, on a beautiful Tuesday, July 14, 2026. Nick, I'll tell you this much. I went and took Fuzzball for a walk this morning about an hour ago, and it is currently outside here in SoCal, 77 degrees. But I can guarantee you it's probably about 87 outside and beyond humid for this mid-July day, and I'm sure the weather is a bit worse back in your neck of the woods than it is out here by the beach.
Oh, it is hot. I've been outside already because we're still having work done by our new pool. Yes, humble brag. It is hot, humid, and it's pool weather. Let's just say outside here in the good old confines of Long Island, New York.
Yeah, so it's that time of the year. Even taking Ozzy out after the dungeon last night, it was still sticky out here and humid at like 10 o'clock local time. So weather is certainly being a bit of a butt here for everybody, but it is summertime. So if you have a pool like Nick and myself, go and use it.
Yeah, but before we get underway, make sure you follow the show on social media at Press Row ETB across all social media platforms. We have to do a better job of getting some clips up there on our side, a lot of stuff on the network side, but we will do better on that side. So at Press Row ETB, Twitter, Instagram, and God forbid, sometime TikTok. We'll get to that. Follow the Empty the Bench Network at ETB Network, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok at ETB Network. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/ETB Network. Just broke 1,140 subscribers. So please continue to do your part and like and subscribe to everything that we are doing, including this show. Boy, do we got a show today. After
a lot of basketball today. A lot of basketball today.
After 4 hours in the content dungeon last night, which, by the way, bravo to the people that came by and checked out our pilot show for the content dungeon. We had a lot of good responses, a lot of fun people watching in the chats. I don't know how we want to say, like, for this audience, how to explain that show briefly in like a sentence or two.
It was a 4-hour marathon, just kind of talking about some of the nuances of the network, kind of what the process goes in to how we schedule things, what goes into the content, how artificial intelligence is, helping or hurting this particular industry when it comes to media in sports business and what have you, but also kind of talking about some personal stories too. I shared some stuff, Nick shared some stuff, and we have plans to bring some of our network guests on. I know that was another idea that we didn't talk about though, but we have kind of a ETB unplugged thing that we were going to do, like a one-on-one sit-down interview with, members of the network, talk about their life story, their favorite teams, their career, how they got into the business, what they want to do for the future and all that sort of good stuff though. But I thought it was great. We had over 420 people watch the program last night. I think we did like 10 watch hours already on the YouTube side. So again, look for that again, folks, next Monday. We had a great time, but it will not be a 4-hour show this time around.
That was more just getting the show off the ground. And we're filling some time because our guy, Nate Miller, does give and takes his away in Italy for the next 2 weeks. You're
Or
going to
literally,
see
my
us.
dad will be come the 22nd till August 6th to go and coach international baseball.
So, yeah, you're going to see us again in that slot, 9 p.m. Eastern. And once he moves to Tuesdays, we are going to take that Monday slot and do the content dungeon. But that's neither here nor there at this point. We got a lot to get to. So, excuse me, the NBA and the WNBA are going to be very dominant in this show today. Dan Patrick versus WNBA Commissioner Cathy Engelbert. Gee, what else is new? Cathy Engelbert getting yelled at again?
I believe we are, and I think we're the first show to talk about this out of the box here for the week of content.
I mean, there's been a lot of our shows have been talking about a lot of the WNBA stuff going on with Caitlin Clark.
But not this
and all that
particular
stuff.
story.
But not this particular story. So we're going to get into that. There's also another wrinkle, which I was telling Callan before the show that I didn't let him in on yet because I want to get his reaction to it. And it has to do with a guy named Jason Page, who's been getting, what would you say, annihilated on social media for a pretty awful take, in my opinion. So we'll get into that. Also, the new Las Vegas NBA franchise might be coming closer to fruition.
With a ownership group that we have not talked about yet that is coming to the limelight for about $8 billion.
And there's a couple ownership groups we also discovered that might be in the mix.
Yes.
For this also. So we'll break
away
that all
from
down.
Bill Foley, as we've said quite a bit here on PR, but there's a few more horses in the stable now for the potential unnamed NBA franchise for Vegas.
Also, Amar Awada, I'm sure I'm saying that wrong. He's one of the guys who reached a federal plea deal in the NBA gambling scandal. Gee, does that signal a red flag? Or a white flag, I should say.
I surrender.
That's what it sounds like a little bit. Or the song Surrender. That's a good song, too.
Trick. Yes. Seen them in concert several times.
Nice. Also, Terry Rozier thinks he's going to have an NBA career again after this. Yeah, I don't think so. Bob Myers decides to go on the Game Over podcast with Max Kellerman. And wait, who's the co-host again? Rich Paul. What? To pitch basically his agent on why he should come to the 76ers. Gee, conflict of interest, maybe?
Tampering.
Yeah. Also, we will dive into the Adam Schefter contract, and is there still a conflict of interest with Adam Schefter? Also, San Antonio Spurs announcer fired for alleged affair with player's sister. Now, there is some hoops to jump through in that story because from a legality standpoint, now, let me be very clear. You and I don't condone the behavior.
Absolutely not.
But is it legal from a fireable standpoint? That's what we're going to get into. Because I could see him suing and winning that.
Definitely.
He didn't commit a crime. He didn't kill somebody. He didn't shoot somebody with a gun. But he did immorally do something wrong.
Correct.
Also, Logan Webb and the weird deleting of his ex account. Katie Nolan rejects gambling on her podcast.
Yes.
That's an interesting discussion that you and I have had many times, even off this show. Talking about that. Bam Adebayo versus Tyler Hero in Punchgate. And yeah. What? Gary Bettman on media rights extension stuff, how there might not be some stuff, but that's typical commissioner speak, I feel like. Ryan Russillo calls out casual soccer fans.
Yes.
John Morant fires back at the common people. Sir, I think you're a little naive. I'm just going to say that now. The Seahawks sold. By the way, the Paul Allen estate is doing pretty well, I would say, right now, between the two franchises they've sold. What was it? So it was the Trailblazers and now the Seahawks?
Yes.
Holy cow. Almost $10 billion for Seattle, for the Seahawks, by the way. which makes me wonder. Now we can ask that classic question of what are other franchises going to be worth?
Oh, of course, yeah.
Like the Cowboys.
Yeah.
So, and we have some college athletics we're going to get into as well. Tom Dawden in the news again for, of course, the wrong reasons.
Yep.
Also, Michigan State. Is Ward Emanuel going to be out of the job due to the investigations? Obviously, twofold: Jim Harbaugh and Sharon Moore. I don't know why that name just went out of my head. So we got a lot to get into. So large show. So let's get started.
With that, Nick, we'll get started, though, with the biggest story of the weekend from, I believe, the Century Celebrity Golf Tournament up in Lake Tahoe, California, and Nevada. But, of course, Nick, a legendary broadcaster, Dan Patrick, went fully public on his national program this weekend to call out WNBA Commissioner Cathy Engelbert. DP revealed that Engelbert had firmly agreed to an interview on his platform only to pull out directly ahead of the broadcast and was spotted on the practice range shanking shots out of the bunker. On the air, too, that DP issued a stern message, though, to the league's front office saying, in part, if you want to be treated as a serious league, this is what happens. These are tough questions, but this is a fair outlet for you and a fair platform, and I will treat you with respect, open and close quote. DP's public call-out, though, Nick, shines a new harsh spotlight on how the WNBA executive offices manage high-profile media appearances during a period of massive scrutiny, but also economic growth for the WNBA since Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese entered the league about 3 years ago. But, Nick, regardless, when a league commissioner backs out of a major respected national sports platform like the DP show, does this finally signal that, does it signal in your mind a defensive front office stance or a defensive front office that is not ready to answer the tough questions yet business-wise, or a standard corporate issue of damage control?
This is a bad look. In every way, shape, or form, this is a bad look. It's one thing if when the DP show made a request to WNBA PR or the WNBA front office, and they said, we want an interview. Well, they should have just said she's not available. Because you can't, even if she is, even if they're lying, you can't debate someone just saying they're not available. You just can't. You don't know what's going on in their lives. But agreeing to do the interview, and then from what DP said on his show, that they waited around for 2 hours to do the interview, and then she doesn't show up. And on top of that, when they reach back out, WNBA PR said, we decided we don't want her to do it. Here's another issue. And DP made a really good point of this. And a lot of other big personalities around. Portnoy, for a change, I think was actually right on this one. Also, basically blasting the league. A lot of ESPN personalities blasted the league. By the way, his tweet on that rant, which I think he was warranted, by the way, big time.
Yeah.
It's over 10 million views because everyone has commented on Cathy no-showing. And here's the thing that I think people need to understand when it comes to when you're a commissioner of a league or you're a CEO or you run an organization, forget sports, any business you run. If you agree to do something, you really think I'm going to believe that the PR has more power than you do as the CEO or the commissioner of the organization?
Absolutely not.
You really think I'm going to buy that excuse that all of a sudden, oh, well, I agreed to do the interview, but PR told me not to? Who's the boss? You, Cathy, or the WNBA PR?
Yeah, I thought the commissioner's office had final say, not the people underneath the top tier of the pyramid or the food chain.
Well, forget the commissioner's office. The commissioner. If the commissioner agreed, which is what the statement said, and by the way, we've had this happen before where you promote a guest to be on a show and then they don't show up and they fuck up everything that they're going to do. Now, sometimes you have to take into account if an emergency comes up,
definitely
a family situation. That wasn't this. Let's be very clear about that. This was a clear, purposeful no-show, what Cathy Engelbert did. And by the way, you know how they say when you make a decision on something, it shows your true colors?
Absolutely.
She showed her true colors by no showing. And being on the golf course. Seriously. You said it correctly. And by the way, on the simulcast of the DP show, because they show it on digital platforms, they showed her shaking shots out of the bunker. Are you kidding me?
Or her being on the driving range and then the B-roll of her working on her short game out of the bunker on the green.
Cathy, you look horrible. Horrible in this situation. And we've said she's done a lot of horrible things between the lockout. By the way,
this one might take the cake for me, honestly.
How do you agree to show up to do Dan Patrick show and not show up? And the PR is not more powerful than you, Cathy. Come on.
How can you, as a league, though, Nick, be so damn terrified and scared to face a little bit of blowback now that you've got yourself kind of having a seat at the table? As I made that reference last week, talking about the U.S. men's national team and how, 30 million viewers eventually became 50 million viewers watched them exit on Monday last week against Belgium.
Right.
That now soccer is, in fact, at the table for the American sports fan. Though, again, you can say, oh, it's only, I'll see you again in 2030, or I'll see you next year for the Women's World Cup. Again, that's a very tired argument. But finally, Nick, though, as I made this reference, though, during the Alyssa Thomas, Caitlin Clark segment on Cranium 2 weeks ago, or maybe last Tuesday, 2 weeks ago, that this is part of the reason why I think a lot of sports fans, they kind of want to be like somebody learning to swim. They want to put their big toe in the deep, like in the water, and then walk down the shallow end very slowly until the water gets too cold and they jump out of it. That you want to, give it a chance. But then you see all the other stuff happening with all the on-court drama, the Caitlin Clark drama, all of the off the court, off the floor stuff involving players going after Caitlin. And then, like I said, though, Nick, it always seems like every single time that this whole thing comes out, or that something comes out of the WNBA, it's always bad news, or it's always like bad publicity. And I think Justin's right, though. It's amateur hour every week with this league, because the leadership is weak, so the league is also weak. And I think, Justin, that is totally 100% accurate. And I think, though, Justin and Nick, this in a way proves our point that Cathy Engelbert is the worst person to lead a league forward when you have so many issues on your radar and you don't seem to really, bat an eye at stuff happening on the court with your on-court product, where, again, as I said, as a paying consumer of this league, dating back to 8th grade in 2008 for yours truly, I don't care about the TV revenue. I don't care about the new media deals. I don't care about any of the business side of this. I care about watching every team have their best players on the court, and this being about basketball,
a good
not
product.
About race, not about, who's gay or straight. I want this about Atlanta playing LA. I want this about LA playing New York. I don't want any other stupid storylines interfering with watching the games on the court, when finally, Nick, that people have come to the table to watch this product. But again, when you are a phenomenal like Cathy Engelbert and all you do is shoot yourself in the foot over and over and over and over and over, this right here is I think, Nick, a worse look from my perspective, because how do you dare disrespect Dan Patrick, one of the greatest SportsCenter anchors of all time, by not appearing on his show because you're so scared? You have Isaiah Leung syndrome. You're so scared of facing blowback or a little bit of pushback on,
right.
Okay, yeah, why is your take this, or why is this happening? And you're so scared of it. Like, what is there to be afraid of when you want to be in the public limelight, but when it comes to the nitty-gritty and the tough side of the industry, you run away like a scalded dog.
The one thing I just want to say also, because you said this is a WNBA weakness, even though that's fully true, I would say this is a commissioner weakness. You and I have talked about this for a while, that look at Cathy Engelbert and look at the rest of the other commissioners. Now, do most of the commissioners in sports have any sports background? No. But at least they've learned to have a business acumen background when it comes to sports.
And also, what was the other thing that we said, though, Nick, that they also do have? Everybody but Cathy has some sort of law or legal background, too.
She's a business. She was part of Dilotti, which didn't you tell me something the other day, if I remember correctly? We made a connection with Dilotti with something. I can't remember.
You asked me too quick, but yes.
but she should not be the commissioner of this damn sport. Cathy has no idea how to run a league. Just because you were a bigwig at a company doesn't mean you know how to run a professional basketball league. And look at all the issues we've seen go on with the W, whether it was the lockout situation, whether it was how you talk to players, the WNBA officials giving technicals to Caitlin Clark for no reason whatsoever.
Or just to players in general for celebrating a made basket.
I saw a video yesterday that apparently Caitlin Clark went to grab the ball because it was on the other side of the court to give it to the official, and she got teed up for a delay a game or something. And I was like, what the hell is going on with this sport? But for Justin's comment again, where he said it's amateur hour every week with the WNBA, the leadership is so weak. The league is a weak. Now, Justin, to address that further, it all starts with the commissioner at the top.
From the top down, baby.
If the commissioner is weak, then the commissioner's office is going to be weak. The PR is going to be weak. I jokingly said to Zambando, my co-host on ETB Sports, which you'll see with me at 5 o'clock Eastern, I'm double barrel actioning because I'm going away.
Both are today. What are you talking about?
Well, technically, yes. But where was I going with that point? That basically, looking at this scenario, everything is bad. The joke I made with Zan was that I could be a better PR person than half these leagues that own their PR. Because every time the W F's up, the PR makes it worse for them.
Yeah, they double down, triple down, and make it worse.
Cathy, you need to own up to this, because if you're going to hide, which she hides behind this every single time a mistake happens. The PR said not to do this, not to do that. Come on, Cathy. You got to own up when you make mistakes. Everybody who's anybody in the media has commented on her not being on the DP show.
Yeah, and I think it's just a worse look, to Justin's point, that it makes the league look weak, that you don't want to take the criticism. Again, everything might be, goody two-shoes, Nick, with how things have been.
Right.
But you have too many headlines, Nick, for the wrong reasons, involving Caitlin Clark, again, getting, systematic, it seems like, again, getting, knocked to the floor every time. And, I think even worse, Nick, you've got congressional leaders in Texas, not even anywhere close to Indianapolis, Indiana, writing these stupid bills, to her civil rights being violated. Who the hell asked you to comment on this matter at hand when you have other issues to worry about when you're in Texas, not in Indiana?
Well, I told you what part of that issue is because the W is around the country. That's why they're commenting on it. I'm not saying it's right. Let me be very clear about that. But this is a WNBA issue where Cathy doesn't want to deal with things in-house, and then it becomes a public spectacle, because I think the whole league has become a public spectacle the way it's being run. And you know what? Like, ESPN's doing a good service, like for women's sports Sundays. The ratings have been halfway decent. I don't know if that was part of the rundown today, but
I think it's in press clippings. Yeah,
but like they had some positive momentum. But then you have this shit happen where just go on the damn show, answer a tough question for once in your tiny adult life, because you don't act like an adult running the commissioner of the W, being the commissioner of the W, but. It'd be nice if she used her common sense, which her and the word common sense just don't go together at all.
Yeah, we could say the same thing about every commissioner, though, too.
No, but come on. Like, her common sense
but
level.
Hers is way worse than Roger, even Manfred, even Adam Silver, for that matter.
The thing is, do all those commissioners make mistakes and F-ups? Yes. But then in the long run, they will admit that we need to make changes when things need to be done. How long did it take the W to finally come to a agreement? Which, by the way, the W ended up making out on that deal more than the players did still. But we almost didn't have a season.
Or you would have at least missed games, yeah.
The way this was going, we were heading towards not having a season. And to be honest, the players had to give in to have a season. Otherwise, there wouldn't have been a season. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, definitely. And they probably, I think we even talked, though, Nick, too, at certain points that they had to, at least it felt like that they were taking a lot, like they were removing a lot of their demands because they were fearful of something maybe happening where the season may have been lost, as you were just saying.
And it's led to a lot of people talking about the situation. And you know what? DP is totally warranted. I mean, when you have a guest and they promoted it everywhere, because how often do you get a commissioner of a sport
Not often.
on your show? Heck, if it'll never happen because we probably beat the crap out of Cathy Engelbert more than any show. Can you imagine if she came on this show? There'd be no safe zones on this show if she ever came on here.
She'd be out in 30 seconds.
But imagine if Cathy Engelbert agreed to be on this show. What do you think we're going to do for the next week? If we
the hard-hitting questions, whether you like it or not.
No. Forget the show. I'm saying...
Oh, we're promoting the crap out of it like we did with Ray Clay when he came on a couple weeks ago.
So how do you think we would feel if we did all that promo for a week and then the WNBA PR calls one of us up and says, oh, she decided not to come on? That's what happened to DP.
Yeah.
And I find it funny, like a lot of people, and I'm trying to find the DP show tweet because it has blown the internet up big time. And it's almost like he has his hands above his head. He's like, I don't know. What am I supposed to do here?
I've been sitting here for 2 hours waiting.
But I don't like his tweets, like his video clips do well. I don't think I've ever seen one do well. Like that. Like the only one I can think of, like when Skip Bayless had that viral tweet for the DeMar Hamlin situation, that one was a totally different
set of circumstances.
I think I almost found it. Here it is. 11 million views on Twitter.
Damn.
11. And you have people all over the place, big names, quote tweeting this thing, going after Cathy. Well deserved, by the way. She deserves to be called out for the bull crap that she pulled in this scenario. She needs to be gone. This is the first time. Now, you and I have joked multiple times that like she should lose her job because we know it's not going to happen. But if I'm Adam Silver, and I'm not saying this is a perfect scenario, Adam Silver needs to step in and say, get your ass out of the WNBA commissioner's seat.
Something.
Because she can't run. She's running the business into the ground. All she cares about is TV deals. Well, it makes sense because Adam Silver, that's all he cares about on the NBA side. But what the hell? Like, there's no coming back from this.
No way. I mean, especially if she does it again, like at All-Star Weekend, for example, or if she big leagues, Coward or somebody else. Like, if this happens again, Nick, I don't see how she finishes out. Or, I mean, she'll get through the season, but, how can you come back from this, though, if you're the WNBA, having your commissioner being so damn soft like Charmin toilet paper there's no coming back from this. Now, okay, one time is one thing. But if this happens again, though, Nick, second or third time, sorry, she's got to be done.
I don't know what her, and I'm going to see if I can look this up, what Cathy Engelbert's deal is, or I don't know. Do commissioners get deals? I don't know.
I'm sure they do. I think Goodell has one.
Let's see if I can find one. Okay. She has been appointed in 2019. Oh. Her deal ends at the end of 2026.
So let her finish up the season, then good riddance.
Now, there's another piece of this story I want to get to, which I've teased it slightly. But Jason Page, who he does his own syndicated show called Sports Rap with Jason Page. He used to be he did ESPN radio. He did NBC Sports Radio before that went defunct. he was on 95.7 The Game in San Francisco. Like,
okay.
He's a great. I've listened to him before. He's a decent sports talk host. But he had a take, and I can't seem to find it at the moment. But he basically called out Dan Patrick, saying he shouldn't have acted that way, ranting against Cathy Engelbert.
Are we sure about that?
And like he was calling people out, and I was like, wow, man. Like that was your, like, you took the side that everybody else didn't take. And I was just like, Jesus, like unless he was just trying for attention, which he got, he definitely earned the clickbait part of this scenario. But there's another part of this story, which, and I'm trying to find it because I can't find it at the moment, but he wrote a Substack, which I have up in front of me. And it's called The Dan Patrick Cathy Engelbert Conversation and Where I Stand. So you're going to find this interesting. This has to do with Jason Barrett.
Oh, great.
So apparently they've had a long-standing feud. Gee, what else is new, right?
Yeah.
Dan Patrick had every right to the rant. Yeah. Yeah, Cathy. Christy. Yes. I have too many names in my head right now. Yes, Christy. Definitely the rant was warranted. So listen to this, because I'm going to read you part of this, because apparently Jason Barrett and Jason Page had a feud. And so let's address something here. Jason Barrett, who has blocked me on social media because I called him out on the homophobia I dealt with while working for his station during his failed run at 95.7 The Game. This is San Francisco, in case people are wondering.
Bay Area.
He decided to call me out in his column over on his website, beyond the fact that he wrote is likely libelous. He's just flat out lied about me, who I am, and what I've accomplished. A few things here to address, so bear with me as they will be a lengthy post. I'm going to read parts of it. I didn't trash Dan Patrick, because that's what Barrett is claiming. I criticized him bringing behind-the-scenes aspects of the show to his audience for the purpose of bashing a commissioner he wanted to have on. What Jason Barrett doesn't mention is that I heavily criticized the WNBA commissioner. He doesn't mention that because he's trying to craft a narrative. Gee, where have we heard that one before?
And we heard that about and we had that with David Shepard when he came on. And also, Nick, we should mention real quick, and I know we've gone along with the segment, I shared you a post from a San Diego news talk radio legend, Mark Larson, who even said the same thing that Barrett Media ran with a story about Mark losing his job at AM 600 Koga, where I worked for a week at iHeartMedia. And Mark shared on social media, I don't know who this guy is. He never called me or emailed me or DM'd me about doing this interview piece. You know, here I've been in radio in San Diego for 50 years. I beat cancer last year, and I've got this being dropped to my feet by this news outlet that I've never, ever have spoken to. So how does that not surprise me about Barrett Media?
So I'll read a few more things. And I just found the reaction that got Jason Barrett pummeled, too. Let me be clear. Jason Page was wrong for his take. Let me be very clear. But if this is true, this just proves how bad of a guy Jason Barrett is.
Oh, big time. They're both in the wrong, but I think Barrett is more in the wrong here. I mean, I get where Page is coming from, though. But also, when you leave out the key details or leave out the key meat and the potatoes, you're going to be in for a nightmare.
So Jason Page goes on to say, he characterized what I said about DP as a personal shot. It wasn't a personal shot. It was a professional shot. First of all, I think that's semantics. Who cares if it's a personal shot or a professional shot?
It still is a pot shot in some way, much like people body shaming people because of a photo that they see from a sporting event over the weekend.
Oh, it's a professional event. Who cares?
Who cares?
Doesn't matter. It wasn't geared towards Dan Patrick, the person. It was geared towards Dan Patrick, the media personnel. Again, that's
there's no differentiation. You know what? We're all the same person. You know, it's Callan McClurg as a host on ETB, and also the guy who announces in San Diego, and the guy who can't see. Come
I
on
mean,
now.
when you do shows, you might act a little differently because that's just how you do a show, but you're always the same person,
Yes.
regardless. Now, I want you to listen to this because this gets a little terrifying, what Jason Page says. Now, for the more uncomfortable facts about my first stint at 95.7 The Game,
Hmm.
under Jason Barrett, who was running the station. What Jason Barrett doesn't mention is I was going to save this for the book I'm working on, but I will give you a peek at it now. Jason Barrett brought me into the office to lecture me because during one of my weekend shows, my boyfriend, who later became my husband, sat quietly in the corner in the studio while I did the show. Why does this matter? Just days earlier, I had hosted a show with a former NFL player from the station who had literally brought his entire family into the studio while he did the show. He wasn't castigated the way I was. It was plain to see from the tone of the convo with Barrett, the assistant program director, had whined after seeing my boyfriend in the studio, and Barrett reacted by telling me I couldn't do that.
So why is it good for one person and then not for the next?
As for the claim that nobody would work with me, that's simply false. I was so hated, apparently, that Barrett's successor hired me years later for a second run at the station. What? Barrett has a website for one reason, and this is what Bart Winkler said to us, too.
Winkler and Shepard both did, but go on.
He was a dreadful PD. This is a guy that that brought me in to interview for a role in Philadelphia shortly after being hired there. Never heard back from him after the interview. Turns out if you blinked, he was gone from the station as quickly as he was hired. During his time at 95.7 The Game, there was an infamous incident of him trying to keep a reporter from reporting the ratings of the competitors. Turns out Jason didn't like facts then either. So it goes on and on because Barrett apparently lies, saying like he's not relevant, Jason Page, and he's been at all these stations. And by the way, his show that he does now is on 270 affiliates across the U.S. and Canada. But this story has caused like a riff now between people. And unfortunately, that's kind of what the WNBA has been doing to people a little bit. It's causing rifts and fights and leading to uncomfortable situations. But I'm going to say this again because we have the proof of this now because we've spoken to people. Jason Barrett, you are a terrible person. You are a terrible person. And so far, David Shepard, Bart Winkler, now we're seeing it from Jason Page. Oh, the only thing you care about is your narrative. And if people pay you or sponsor your events, you're going to talk positive about them.
And I will throw Mark Larson back into that mix, Nick. I just pulled up Mark's first public comments made back on the first day of July. Because Barrett Media wrote a story that Mark Larson had exited AM 600 Kogo, the lead news station here in San Diego where I live, and wrote an article and basically said, and this, so, okay, this was actually written by Garrett Seawright, but via Barrett Media. So one of his clones wrote this article.
Oh, one of his cronies. Yeah.
The article reads in part, the article reads here, and it's very brief. 600 Kogo is experiencing another change with Mark Larson departing the outlet. Larson departs iHeartMedia San Diego news talk station last week. At the time of his departure, he was hosting a 1-hour show from 7 to 8 p.m. He had previously been paired with Leland Conway for the early evening time slot in San Diego. And Conway also is out at Kogo AM and now hosting middays at 840 WHAS in Louisville, Kentucky. Mark Larson, and this is a supposed quote from Mark Larson to Barrett Media. Mark Larson says in part, "We think. I'm sure glad that my book is not complete yet. Turns out I need to write another chapter or two about unexpected events this week. I'll explain soon. If Larson's departure is tied to the iHeartMedia layoffs, while hundreds have been cut around the country, Larson has not stated the reason for his exit. Mark's exit is the latest in a string of moves for Kogo AM, with Mike Slater alongside Conway and Larson also departing the brand earlier this year. Larson has been a longtime figure in San Diego News Talk Radio, last month celebrating 50 years in the marketplace. But with that, Nick, here's the pushback rebuttal from Mr. Larson himself. He writes a part on his Facebook page. Well, this is interesting. I haven't talked with this publication and surprised that they did not also mention my battle to beat cancer over the last year. Seems like they're just reading between the lines. When I can share more, I will, hopefully soon.
You know what? And I've had some interactions briefly with Jason Barrett because he writes about when radio moves happen, whether it's music or news or sports and stuff. I full disclosure, I tried to do stuff for the website. Of course, he treated me like whatever, because I didn't fit his narrative of a website, which we're learning that he only cares about like the Colin Cowherds of the world and all the big names because he can.
Or those who haven't done him wrong.
But Jason Barrett is a disgrace to this industry that we are a part of. All he cares about, like someone said, I read the other day, like, because he's been sponsored by Newsmax. There's always stories up about Newsmax moves and stuff because they pay for those Barrett summits, the BSM summits. So
you mean bullshit media? Essentially.
But quickly, because I know we're way over here, but I found the Jason Page response to the Dan Patrick thing. I have a few reactions to this. First and mostly important, if you're a young person just starting out in the media and want to one day be a talk show host, do not do what Dan Patrick is doing in this video. It's the best way to burn a bridge and ensure high-profile guests don't come on your show. Dan Patrick can get away with it because he's Dan Patrick. Okay. Number one, I want to respond to that. He's not right in that scenario. Because, number one, well, the one part he is right about is the last part. He's Dan Patrick, and he can say what he wants. But if a commissioner does something stupid, then they deserve to be called out for it.
Absolutely.
And if that was us in our scenario, I don't know if we can get away with that as much. No. Dan Patrick can. And Dan Patrick's show will be fine, regardless if Cathy Engelbert shows up or not, to be honest. But to say that he can't do it, who are you to say what he can and can't do on his own show?
Yeah.
Two, the hubris from Dan to intimate that the WNBA can't be taken seriously unless the commissioner comes on his show is one of the more laughable things I've ever heard. She's supposed to be the mouthpiece of the brand last time I checked, right?
Yeah, and not out here shanking shots like I do on the golf course in the debunker.
So I disagree with that take. She is supposed to be the mouthpiece. If she doesn't come on the show, no, I don't see anyone else from the commissioner's office coming on the show. Do you?
No, not at all.
He goes on to say, tell me something. When was the last time you were talking to your friends about sports and they said, I was listening to / watching the Dan Patrick show the other day and... Really?
Come on now.
The show has been on for 20-something years. Since he left ESPN.
Yeah.
A show doesn't last for 20 years by accident.
Precisely.
Quickly, number 3. It is a bad look from Engelbert. It's the first in a long line of bad looks from Engelbert. She could be the most toothless, feckless commissioner in all the sports, and yet her league is still on the rise in spite of her. I think that's the first right thing he has said.
Yeah, and that is a very true point that now people have eyeballs on this league, though, but yet they keep shooting themselves in the foot every day of the week.
But then he goes on to say, to the other people that are considered to be professionals that are sucking up to Dan Patrick with retweets and comments, just stop. You look like a bunch of sycophants.
No.
How about maybe he's right and people just want to respect the take?
Yeah.
Have you ever heard of that, Jason Page? Now, what I will defend him on one small thing is what happens in today's social media is, unfortunately, we make things go viral that shouldn't. And I think that's partially what he might be referring to, that sometimes people will just press the retweet or they'll quote tweet something that's completely stupid and then it goes viral. But
you forgot the word gutless.
Yeah, true. But to say that they're sucking up, how about maybe it was a respectful take and that Cathy Engelbert needs to show up when she agrees to a media obligation. two little things. If I'm Engelbert, I go on with Cowherd first thing on Monday or Tuesday and answer all the hard questions.
No.
Why not do it on DP? That was your scheduled appearance.
Yeah, why deflect and go somewhere else?
Then, this is the last one. Then Dan's 15 minutes of people caring about his show goes away and is replaced by the headlines that DP could have gotten it if he didn't grandstand. Grandstand? Where is he grandstanding? Jason,
nowhere.
Jason Page, do you know what the term grandstand means? Grandstand means you're showing off.
Yeah.
Jason, you would be just as mad. Jason Page, you would be mad if Cathy Engelbert agreed to be on your show and you waited 2 hours, you wasted 2 hours and didn't show up. Okay? This is a bad situation and Cathy Engelbert needs to own up. Plain and simple. That's it.
With that, Nick, very long opening segment, though, but we'll switch gears back to the NBA. But, Nick, a new massive powerhouse ownership group has publicly emerged now to secure the prospective NBA expansion franchise in Nevada, calling the team the Las Vegas Jacks, one of the names that I think I came up with. Led by former Suns owner Jerry Colangelo and longtime NBA player and head coach Vinny Negro, the group now claims to have secured $8 billion in total liquid capital. The group has publicly vowed to construct the most impressive state-of-the-art basketball arena on the planet if the NBA grants them entry. But, Nick, with an $8 billion war chest now and Jerry Colangelo driving the ship, does the Las Vegas Jacks bid instantly jump to the absolute front of the line for the NBA's long-awaited expansion plans for both Vegas and Seattle?
If it's the highest bid, it's going to go to the highest bidder. We already know how all these leagues work. Now, is it the best bid? I have no idea. Now, you have two NBA minds who have been around for 40, 50 years each. So if you're looking at it from strictly a basketball standpoint, yeah, it probably will be the best bid. Now, from that $8 billion, I think $5 billion of it is already guaranteed. They don't have, but they're working on the other $3.
Yeah.
If it's only the $5 billion, it's not going to be enough. I'll
No,
tell you that right now.
Not at all.
I think Foley can beat that number, probably.
Big time.
And then I saw Magic Johnson was looking at a minority bid, and a few others were looking at minority bids. But I would say this is probably at least the second highest bid without any other public knowledge of other bids. Because I think Foley's going to put up a fight because he wants the franchise and he wants to put it, in T-Mobile Arena with the Golden Knights.
UFC, Golden Knights, college basketball tournaments.
So it's all a matter of perspective. Now, if you want to talk about instant move where you don't have to do a lot of work, then Foley would be the right one because then you slide them right into T-Mobile. And
that way you don't have to sit through building a new arena for the franchise. I mean, we've heard that already, Nick, a couple of times with, other prospective groups who said, we'll get the team, we have to build a new arena. Like I think that Oakview was trying to build a 20,000-seat arena near the Stratosphere in the Sahara at the very, 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 very far end of the Strip in Vegas. And by the way, Jerry Colangelo, by the way, I've long respected Jerry for what he's done, though, for the game of basketball. I mean, let me read this off real quick. Former owner of the Suns, the Mercury, the Arizona Sand Sharks of the short-lived CISL, which was the Continental Indoor Soccer League, the indoor football team, which is the Arizona Rattlers, and also, Nick, helped bring baseball there with the Diamondbacks and also was instrumental in the Coyotes becoming an NHL franchise from Winnipeg 30 years ago.
Yeah. I mean, I think this is going to be interesting to see who gets the bid, though. And if they have $8 billion, I think they're going to win the bid. That's just me. Because I don't know if Foley's going to put up that money. He might, if it means that he can have both teams together. First of all, the revenue would be insane at a T-Mobile Arena if they had both teams in there. And then you could kind of do some cross-promotional stuff between the Aces and whatever this franchise is going to be called. Also, the whole Vegas atmosphere. Now, the problem you're going to run into is any team you put in Vegas is going to become a touristy fan base.
Yeah, and that's and I can speak to that away from the Golden Knights. That is and I think I said that, Nick, when we first began talking about these rumor mills of the NBA expanding. The only team in Vegas who's not a tourist destination team is VGK. That is a full-fledged it's that those games I've gone to a couple games there. It is a full-fledged locals only atmosphere away from like the Aces. Obviously the Raiders are the Raiders because they will, they get a fan base regardless of where they go. And then, who knows about the Athletics? I think that Vegas is still a Laker town, believe it or not, because they're within the LA TV demographic still, believe it or not, at this rate.
They're going to have to break that up though. They're going to have to break that up though. It's not if. I think it's a matter of when at this point.
Yeah, more when than if, yeah.
But I think the Raiders have done a decent job, by the way, with their fan base. Like I said, I will always feel bad for the Oakland fan base because they got screwed over with, 2 teams now? They've lost the A's.
All 3 of them. The Warriors, the A's, and the Raiders.
I mean, the Warriors one kind of makes sense because they needed a new arena. I don't know why they
were going to get that property was in San Fran.
I don't know why they didn't just renovate. Because you know what the problem is? Instead of renovating, people just want new places rather than renovating.
And much like the Chargers, there was just too much city blowback about the Oakland arena.
Well, and then you had the whole nightmare with the Athletics that wanted to build the stadium by the water. And if you remember,
I think I heard something, Nick, that project might be revived for a minor league soccer team at Howard Terminal.
You realize how ridiculous that sounds, though, right?
They're playing in the Coliseum right now, and they're getting like maybe 20 to 30,000 people, way more than what the A's drew.
No, but I'm saying how ridiculous that would be if they weren't willing to approve it for the A's, which probably would have brought in more money for that area, but you would be willing to approve it for a soccer team. Now, I'm not putting down soccer. Let me be very clear about that. I love the way soccer has been growing and everything that it's been doing. But if you weren't willing to do it for the A's, why would you do it for a soccer team?
Probably because you don't have to deal with John Fisher anymore. That's why.
That's a case in point. But I don't know, man. This is a weird situation. By the way, this is going to shock you a little bit. And this is a breaking WNBA story.
Oh, great.
We have a little situation on our hands, and it's not Cathy Engelbert. So according to Colangelo of Front Office Sports, Hilton Grand Vacations, the Hilton Resorts, there's an investigation going on that an employee sent a racial slur in a DM to Aces star Chelsea Gray. And there's a picture of it. I'm not going to share it, obviously, but they did post the evidence on Twitter and X, and I can tell you what the word starts with, or I shouldn't because you probably know which one it is. And I'm looking at it. It's an N-word. What is going on in this league? Or I mean, this is not technically a league issue.
No, it's a bunch of things I harped on already 2 weeks ago, Nick, talking about the Alyssa Thomas foul on Caitlin Clark.
But the WNBA could be doing a better job of controlling its narrative and its message.
Yeah, instead of letting people walk over them like they're stairs.
I don't know how to feel about this one right now at the moment. But you know what? That takes a lot of courage to share the message, by the way. And she didn't blur out the name in the Instagram. Yeah. Not like the name, just the screen name thing on Instagram. I want to know, as a dumb individual, whoever this is, what makes you think it's okay to say that?
That's what I said 2 weeks ago, Nick, and people think I'm stupid and dumb. Because I said that on Cranium 2 weeks ago about how people go about doing this stuff to these athletes, and they don't think there's going to be some kind of retribution eventually coming their way where they can literally ping your IP address.
And she wrote a small thing on it. She said, people act like we just make this shit up, and the audacity to tell us as athletes to shut up and dribble.
There you go.
Now, I don't know if you remember where that original reference came from. Do you?
Fox News about LeBron James.
Laura Ingalls, I think it was.
Laura Ingram.
Ingram, sorry. Laura Ingram. The WNBA needs to fix its narrative.
Badly.
Because if people are doing this to players and they're doing it like they don't see any issues with it.
Yeah.
That's the scary part of this. Like that whole thing you talked about where Cathy, we'll work with the police and we'll investigate. Cathy, that's not fixing the problem. That's fixing a temporary problem.
Yeah, it's putting a bandage over open heart surgery.
And this is why Cathy can't be the commissioner of the sport. Because these players are getting attacked verbally. I don't know about physically, but verbally and getting abused mentally. That would you want to play under Cathy anymore as a commissioner of the sport?
Absolutely not.
But that's ridiculous that she's getting that Chelsea Gray's getting N-words in her Instagram DMs.
Yeah,
like,
it's pathetic.
I don't know, man.
Nick, we'll stay in the NBA, though, and revert back to the ongoing probes of the DOJ's gambling scandal investigation. But now, Nick, in a new break that has happened, key figure to the case, Amar Awauda, has officially received a formal plea agreement with federal prosecutors. Awauda was heavily exposed in part one of our NBA gambling investigation talk here on ETB, and also serving as a primary link connecting the high-profile gambling files of Beasley, Porter, and Rozier. His plea deal signals that federal investigators are successfully securing cooperative inside testimonies to finally dismantle the broader illicit betting network that has gone on. But, Nick, now that we have a co-central conspirator taking a plea deal, how deeply now should active NBA front offices and even the players be worried about what names show up next in a potential release of new files from the DOJ?
Hold on. This is part of this story too. I just found this. You want to talk about this case completely crumbling now. According to David Payne Purdom, who's been all over this this case, he does like a lot of gambling stuff for ESPN and covers. Shane Hennon, a Las Vegas bettor and a card player, is expected to plead guilty in the federal rigged poker case. According to a court document filed today, Hennon was charged in indictments involving multiple NBA betting scandals and alleged college basketball point shaving scheme.
And all the failure.
This is unbelievable. Now everything's coming to the limelight, people. Everything. Is this unbelievable or what?
I mean, I don't know if unprecedented, Nick, is the right word, or if it's just like, what the hell's next? You know, I mean, we talked about, or at least I did on Cranium 2 weeks ago, how Beasley and Davis were a part of Insane in the Membrane. It's like, guys, you're out here making $50 to $60 million. You're playing a kid's game. How can you go about doing shady business just to make a few extra dollars when you're getting all this money to play a sport?
Let me clarify one thing. I would say the top echelon are making that money. Not everybody is making that money. Now, the guys you're talking about made average to decent money. But let's just clarify so people don't make the statement and say, because I know people who will end up in our chats and say, but not every athlete makes millions of dollars. Some make the minimum.
Yeah, that's why I love the Callan McClurg Memorial NBA Cup tournament, because that gives those minimum wage rookies and guys on veteran deals more money in their pocket when they win the championship.
Well, if you noticed, a lot of the big names are now forfeiting that money to like split up to the other guys.
So there you go.
But the point I'm making, because I just wanted to clarify, because you were saying like a big portion of those guys make that money. You're right. More players are making that money, but there is still a subsection of all the leagues that still don't make $1 million a year, which is kind of sad considering the amount of money there is in professional sports. But this plea agreement is signaling the white flag. Like,
oh yeah.
Like, you know what? When you take a plea deal, that means what?
You're guilty.
Well, yes, but it signals, oh, shit, we better take the best deal we can take because they have enough evidence to put us away for the next 50 years.
As much as we can, have fun kicking sand in Cathy Engelbert's face, Nick, then we should do the same thing to Adam Silver. How this whole thing has just been so poorly mismanaged, but also, Nick, the other undercurrent of this whole thing, was involving, a new report put out. They are still nowhere close to the Kawhi Leonard aspiration scandal being fixed. So then you've got that one. Now this one, Nick, this domino effect for this particular case is only going to get worse as the next several weeks and months. And I would say, Nick, when this whole new season rolls around, that I'm sure there's going to be more that comes out of this whole entire fray as the next couple of months come forward.
This story was bad. This goes all the way back to
October.
Well, yes, but at the beginning of this year. And
Yes.
It's kind of crazy the way this story has sunk deeper and deeper and deeper into the dungeon or content dungeon, however you want to refer to it. But Amir Awawada taking a plea deal signals the end. And if the former NBA players at this point, because Terry Rozier thinks he's getting back into the league, which we all know is never going to happen. This needs to signal the former players need to understand this is death. Like, this is knocking on death's door.
Oh yeah. And don't sweep it underneath the rug, folks, because we're not going to be doing that. We can talk about all the great things that gambling partners have done, though, but then when you've got players affecting the outcome of the game in some capacity or their own career sakes by, getting involved with the wrong people, this is something bigger than a sweep under the rug, because it's not what this is. I will keep saying that until I'm blue in the face.
And like I just read you, the other one that took a plea deal. I mean, guys, it's over. You were caught. Remember when we did the story originally?
Yes.
The FBI had 6 years of work on this. 6 years. I thought it was ridiculous that it took them 6 years to finally pull the trigger. But I guess that was their way of saying when eventually they got to court and they said, no, we have 6 years of evidence. Your asses are done.
Yeah, I can agree that a little bit. But I think you want to make sure that you have enough, like you can do enough justice to prove if they try to, get out of it saying, no, we've got 6 years of documentation that you were at this poker game with this player, or you were doing this
undercover.
Or doing that. Yeah, all undercover. Yes.
And Terry Rozier is naive, by the way, because he thinks that, by the way, not that the money amount matters, but he was making somewhere between 25 and 35 million. I don't remember exactly. But why are you taking money from bets that are not even anywhere near what you're making?
Well, with that, Nick, let's move on here and talk about Mr. Terry Rozier, as a federal judge recently has officially denied a legal motion filed by former NBA guard Terry Rozier, who had been seeking court permission to sign a new pro contract and resume playing his basketball career while actively awaiting the trial. Rozier remains heavily entangled in a sweeping federal sports gambling probe and fraud investigation, and the court's strict refusal effectively places his professional basketball career on ice indefinitely. Nick, by blocking Rozier from playing while his legal issues unfold, are the courts setting a clear new precedent that sports gambling indictments carry immediate career-ending weight before the trial even begins? I say yes.
I mean, you're guilty. What do I have to say here? You first of all, put aside whether it's officially a guilty or a not guilty situation when it goes down in the court records. Why would an NBA team touch you after you've been investigated for gambling fraud?
And what have I said for the last 6 weeks about Brendan Sorsby with the NFL or football in general?
That one's bad for different reasons, because if you're making, what was it, 5,000 to 6,000 bets?
9,000 bets worth 90,000 in wagers.
Those were making actual bets. Now, you could say in technicality, like, betting is legal from a betting standpoint. Again, still no tolerance for being a college football player not to do it. But at the same time, he wasn't part of the Gambino family crime ring.
Yes.
like Terry Rozier and Chauncey Billups and Damon Jones and so on and so forth. I can go down the list. But for Terry Rozier to go to the court system and say, "Can I have an injunction essentially to play?" You're not going to win that one.
No.
First of all, a team's not going to touch you. So what is even the point of going through the trouble to doing that work? You're not going to get paid. The league is not going to trust you. Let's say, for all intents and purposes, the court system says, because this happens all the time.
Yeah.
We'll give you an injunction, blah, 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 whatever.
Redmond Sorsby.
But the NBA has a lot more muscle, I feel like, than the NCAA has. And
Totally.
you wouldn't think that either. But the NBA will stop his ass from being on a team. Now, I don't know if the NBA can do that, but I guess they could give him a suspension or a punishment if that's what they decide. But then we're going to run into an A-Rod scenario. Remember when A-Rod had the whole steroid allegations, and remember A-Rod completely annihilated the Players Association, and then they had to defend his ass because he was a player.
Yep.
Would they have to do that for Terry Rozier, the MBPA?
Yeah. You would think so, right?
And that puts the MBPA in a terrible, precarious position. So thank God it never got to that point. But this is a bad situation, and the NBA needs to clean up its image. To be honest, the NBA and the WNBA need to clean up their image. Because right now, between the gambling scandals, between Cathy not running her league correctly, to only caring about TV deals, not caring about the consumer or the fan, they need to clean up their public images because they stink.
Yeah, they do big time, Nick, and it's growing more and more out of control with how these leagues are running their operations right now, especially, Nick, I think with the NBA, because you've had so much stuff happen within the last season ending between, the gambling scandal, the aspiration scandal, all this other stuff, Nick. And, where, though, does Terry Rozier think, though, that a judge is going to have sympathy for him to grant him to grant him a chance to play the game while awaiting a trial? Like, this isn't like appealing a suspension when you get, like thrown out of a baseball game, for example, and then you get suspended, X amount of games and you appeal it and you can still play while the appeal process is going on. No, this is not the same thing. Simple as that.
Yeah, I have no idea. I mean, like I said, the image of both leagues need to be figured out. In a worst case scenario, I would have Adam Silver run both leagues until you can figure this out.
Or Mark Tatum run the W.
And he hasn't exactly been the best of character either, to be honest. Would he be fine? Yeah, temporarily. It's like a stopgap in a pipe, but eventually that stopgap is going to burst and all the water's going to come out again.
Right.
But we have the NBA and the W have a public image problem that they have to figure out, because you're going to lose more fans. They already are losing more fans. People can't tolerate the NBA and the W right now.
No, for all the wrong reasons.
So, I don't know. That's pretty much the story on that. But let's move on. Let's stay in the NBA, and we are going to talk about a conflict of interest scenario possibly here with
tampering.
So, former Golden State Warriors architect and current Harris Blitzer Sports and Entertainment president Bob Myers turned heads across the league during a high-profile appearance on Rich Paul and Max Kellerman's digital podcast called Game Over. During the episode, Myers explicitly mapped out an aggressive public pitch advising LeBron James to finish his legendary career by signing with the Philadelphia 76ers, sparking immediate sports media debates regarding late career championship window operations. Is Myers throwing out a realistic blueprint for a late career ring chase in Philly, or is this just standard off-season podcast fodder designed to generate quick headlines.
It's called tampering with a free agent. How about that? Simple as that.
In my opinion, I've screamed this from the rooftops. How is this not conflict of interest? How is it not conflict of interest? You have, I guess, because technically he is the CEO slash head of operations for the 76ers.
Mm-hmm.
And he's sitting on Rich Paul's podcast, who was LeBron James's agent.
Right.
And pitching on a podcast, oh, come play for my team, the 76ers. Help me here, because this is like totally blowing my mind that it's almost like doing a public negotiation on a podcast.
Yeah, I think this is like a form of public tampering. I know he's a free agent, but why is this being allowed? Why are you allowing this sort of thing to come to fruition regarding the simple fact, Nick? Bob Myers, again, was the longtime, as you said, longtime member of the Warriors. But now he's literally working for the 76ers within the ownership group. How is this, possible to let him make a public pitch to LeBron James on a podcast that is run by his agent?
First of all, I think it's a conflict of interest that Rich Paul has a podcast.
That too.
In no way, shape, or form should an agent have a podcast. That's a conflict of interest in every way, shape, or form. You control the narrative of players you have in the league, which is not right. Because basically he could say, oh, I want this player to go here. I want this player to go here. I want LeBron on this team. Anthony Davis, who he's trying to desperately get traded from the Wizards to the Warriors, if LeBron is going to end up in Golden State, or if LeBron's going to end up in Cleveland or Philadelphia. This is a joke. And it sounds like desperation. Not aspiration, desperation.
Oh no, it's totally desperate. It's totally desperate if you ask me, because I think they're like, oh, we got Jaylen Brown for free from the Celtics. We get LeBron. We're going to the finals. Public tampering.
Well, they would be an instant finals contender if they end up with LeBron James. But there is reports that he doesn't want to play with Joel Embiid. Shocker. I don't care if you're a CEO, a GM, the owner. You should not be allowed to publicly use a podcast as a negotiating tool.
No way, no how. And for that to even be allowed, I know that the NBA lets a lot of things slide. This one you can't slide, Nick, because we've seen other leagues who have come down and given out punishment for some kind of form of public tampering with a player like this.
And on top of it, I don't remember who said it, but I was listening to, and you're going to find this interesting. I was listening to Byron Scott's podcast. There's a Laker legend for you.
Yes.
And the former Hornets coach, I think, also
coached the Nets.
And the Nets. I liked him when he was the Nets head coach, actually. And he was basically saying the LeBron negotiations 10 years ago, everybody would have been knocking down his door. According to him, he thinks that team, like Rich Paul, is desperately scrambling and calling teams.
You would think so, right?
But I don't buy that fully. You're telling me someone doesn't want LeBron James, even though he's going to be 42 probably when he enters the season. Someone wants LeBron James for the jersey sales and the ticket sales alone.
And the TikTok views, don't forget those.
Oh, well, that's a whole different issue.
If you're going to rope in jersey sales, you got to rope in TikTok views too, which is how I roll. Sorry.
Yeah, you're probably right. But this is just a bad look. If you're going to do this, if one GM or one CEO is going to be allowed to do this, then every CEO, GM from every team needs to be allowed to do this. Because now it looks like you gave favoritism to the 76ers by allowing Bob Myers on the podcast. This is kind of like the old rule back in the day when I worked in political talk radio. The rule doesn't really exist anymore.
No, not at all.
But when you had candidates on each side of the aisle, there was a rule in radio that it was called equal time.
Yes.
Where
one person would not get more time or less time than the other person.
So let's say you give someone an hour of time, you have to give the other candidate the same Doesn't matter when. You just got to give them an hour to match the amount of time.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Now, I'm not saying this is the same scenario by any means, but it almost sounds like you're favoring the 76ers in public negotiation. I remember when we were kids, there was no such thing as public negotiations for players.
No, never. No, and I think, Nick, sadly, and you documented this on Benchmarks, LeBron broke that glass ceiling when he did the decision.
Yeah, the decision was definitely groundbreaking in a lot of ways. We just came up on the anniversary. I think the Benchmarks episode I did also?
July 8th. July 8th, yeah.
Which I still remember recording that episode. Obviously, Jim Gray will be remembered in infamy for... People forget that he was the host of that, by the way. Jim Gray has worked with some pretty big athletes.
Had a hell of a career, too. One of my favorites.
But between doing the decision with LeBron, doing Let's Go, the podcast with Tom Brady, I mean...
One of the best, baby.
Don't get me wrong. Jim Gray doesn't need any of those names to be considered a success. I'm just saying maybe that just put some respect on his name even a little bit higher.
I agree.
Because the guy has done a lot of work. All right. Before we move on, because we're a little bit over, because that first segment went long, the world has arrived for the 39-day global spectacle that is the FIFA World Cup. And ETB has you covered with the best coverage of the beautiful game as Callan, McClurg, and Trevor Williams empty the pitch with in-depth coverage of the 2026 FIFA World Cup. Join the fellas on Saturday for their next show at 11 a.m. Eastern Time, 8 a.m. Pacific, only on the Empty the Bench Network. Make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/ETB Network. And I'm assuming that's recapping the semifinals?
Yes.
Because there's only,
Three more
rounds?
4 more matches are left. 2 semifinals, a third place in the final.
I remember when we were planning for this, we said, "Oh, it's going to be a long haul," and then, like you had said, just wait. It's going to be like that, and it's going to be gone. And it's July 14th. We're 5 days away from the final at MetLife Stadium. Well, or New York, New Jersey Stadium. Ugh, that name makes me cringe every time, like every other stadium. But how many shows are left technically?
And this again, like I said, on the dungeon, just depends on my schedule this weekend with me venturing to Irvine to cover one day of the Narch finals for inline hockey. Saturday is, right now it's Saturday and maybe Sunday, but again, that just depends on when can I get up to Irvine, because the divisions I'm covering are going to go watch and cover. They play Thursday through Sunday, and it's a matter. Right. Yeah, it's a matter of when can I get up there, when can I get back, stuff like that. So all that's kind of up in the air. We do have one planned for Saturday. It just depends on where my schedule will fall, though, for the upcoming couple days.
So, but there's going to be, I think, at least 2 shows.
At least,
left,
yeah.
Because you'll recap the semis, and then you'll have to react after the finals, probably. Yeah. So you'll probably do one more on the post Saturday, a week from the end of the finals.
Yeah.
And then you guys are actually going to talk about kind of where we're going to go with MLS and EPL. And
we're going to,
because we're going to plan on trying to do the show. And before you know it, the 2027 World Cup will be here for the women.
Yeah.
Regardless if Team USA makes it or.
No, they will.
No, I think they will make it. First of all, I don't think FIFA will allow them not to make it, because that would be a ratings miss if they didn't make it. But make sure you go check it out. Last couple shows, Saturday, 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific time. You and Trevor done a decent job views-wise with that show. And then, like we said, we're going to expand it to some MLS and EPL and some other stuff, hopefully down the road.
Yeah. With that, Nick, getting into hour 2 officially here, about 19 after the hour, but ESPN is reportedly finalizing a new massive long-term contract extension with flagship NFL senior insider Adam Schefter. The lucrative new deal will firmly secure Schefter's services deep into the 2030s, locking down the network's most dominant news-breaking asset as regular legacy cable channels continue to fight off aggressive talent raids from emerging digital streaming platform contenders. Nick, by committing to an insider contract that runs deep into the 2030s is a massive bet. Does keeping Adam Schefter, though, locked up long-term guarantee ESPN's news dominance, or is it too expensive given how fast the digital media landscape is changing on the daily?
This is not a surprise.
Not at all.
Adam Schefter is the biggest NFL insider, would you say, in the history of the news breaking business?
Oh, 1,000%.
Excuse me. I mean, you have other names. You have Ian Rappaport, Tom Pelissero, some other guys that do it across other networks. But Adam Schefter is number one, and it's Adam Schefter and everybody else. That's how I look at the list. And by the way, the guy is in his 60s. I want to look this up because I was kind of surprised that he signed a multi-year deal. He is, he's not in his 60s. I thought he's 59 years old. Okay, I was close. But that's old to be in the insider game, right?
Yeah.
And if it's a multi-year deal, they're probably talking 2 or 3 years. So he's going to be 61, 62 by the end of the next one. Maybe he just doesn't do as much travel. Maybe
I would think so, right?
I wonder how well he'll travel, like when the big games come up and in person.
Yeah.
And it made sense to sign him because the Super Bowl is coming to ESPN and Disney platforms, ABC. But oh wow, he's not, well, he's from my neck of the woods, not near me, but he's from Valley Stream.
There we go.
I had no idea. By the way, University of Michigan grad.
Michigan.
Or the U of M. But you know what? He does his job well. Could I say there's some controversy involved
as we already talked about? Yes.
And by the way, Tony Farmer's been beating the crap out of Adam Schefter the last couple of days.
I know, right?
I still think it's a conflict of interest that we haven't seen him cover a Patriots story in God knows how long. I find that interesting, but from an ESPN strictly business perspective, it's a no-brainer. If he's willing to work and continue to work, he drives more views to the ESPN platform than anybody I can really think of.
It would be weird not seeing him breaking NFL news, even though I don't like the NFL and I don't watch the product, though, but just like his name being synonymous with breaking the NFL news on ESPN. I mean, and he's even broken other sports news too, like in basketball, maybe overstepping the boundaries a bit though, but
like Shams.
It would be weird not seeing Adam Schefter doing something for ESPN.
What's interesting is that if you look at ESPN as a whole now, what makes them build the most views? It's insiders.
Yes.
So think about it. They have the top 3 insiders in 3 of the sports. They have Jeff Passan for baseball. They have Shams Charania for the NBA. And they have Adam Schefter for the NFL.
And in the NHL, they've got Emily Kaplan.
Okay. So actually, for all 4 sports, technically they have, I don't know if Emily Kaplan's considered a full insider, though.
I think she kind of became that actually at ESPN after she got promoted, I think.
Because she still does games. Like Adam Schefter doesn't do games. Jeff Passan maybe does a game once in a blue moon. And Shams doesn't do any games. He's an insider, but he'll be on the pregame coverage.
Mm-hmm.
Emily Kaplan is like a true hybrid in a sense where...
I mean, can we say something about Courtney Cronin?
Courtney Cronin doesn't do games. I saw her schedule today. By the way, she did Unsportsmanlike this morning and then was on First Take hosting. So she's turned herself into a massive asset for ESPN, and you kind of have to do that if you want to survive in the industry, like we've talked about many times. Now, what's the thing you and I have talked about many times? Like, don't put yourself in a box, right? Covering one sport. But this is the rare scenario.
Yes.
Where you're an Adam Schefter, you're a Shams Charania, you're a Jeff Passan.
You're a Woj for all those years.
Like, when you do something very well, then that's when you stick with what you know best.
Why is it, though, Nick, whenever I think of insiders, like before they became the modern day insider, I always think of the late, great Chris Mortensen and Sean Salisbury for some reason when I think of the first real true insiders coming out of the box back late 90s, early 2000s.
John Clayton.
John Clayton.
His commercial will always be in my head, always. Mom, I'm done finishing my commercial or my hit, whatever it was.
Yeah. I'm done with my segment.
Yeah, I'm done with my segment. He lets his hair down, eating Chinese
And then it goes
food.
back to eating
Chinese food.
Chinese takeout. Yes.
The insider game has changed a lot. Like now it's more about breaking news than it ever was. You don't see features anymore like ESPN used to do on SportsCenter. It's now, all right, we got Shams on here for breaking news. We got Jeff Passan on here for breaking news. Adam Schefter's joining us from the middle of a restaurant where he was having dinner with his wife.
Jeff Passan's joining us outside of the hotel where the MLB PA is officially locked out for the season.
And that's no joke. That's going to happen at some point.
Hold on a sec. I got to put up this tweet. Okay, what was your question?
It's even worse when you see Shams on NBA Today. Like, he's not looking at the screen. Now, do I blame him because his job is constantly to be breaking news? Adam Schefter is probably the worst. And I'm not blaming him.
And I think Shams or Woj even was interviewed by FOS saying, if I'm on vacation, there's no vacation for me. I'm still breaking stories while I'm at the beach with the
even
wife.
In the off season.
Yeah.
There's no here's the thing. People say, and I hear this all the time, and I see it on social media. Oh, that job's easy. All you have to do is talk to teams and owners and players. Guys, it is a hardship job. You're giving up your free time to break stories. You have to break stories before other networks break the story. That's what makes Adam Schefter so valuable. Yes. By the way, because you'll notice 99.9% of the time, he is on a story before everybody else.
Correct.
But how many sleepless hours is that leaving for him, though?
Oh, yeah.
I heard him tell a story once that he had he was taking a shower and he had to put the phone, either, I think on the, I don't know what they call it, where you keep all the stuff on the side of the shower.
Yeah,
shower
caddy.
And because he said, I was waiting for a source of information to come in and I could not miss it. Can you imagine as an insider that you have to take the phone into the shower with you because you're waiting for a story because you have to break the news?
Yep.
Or you're out with your wife trying to have a night out. Oh, sorry, I got to go break the news. Or I forgot. Well, I don't know if it's a bad example, but Diana Rossini in Starbucks. She had to pay them off so that she could break a story through the Wi-Fi and all that stuff. It's a tough job, man, to be an insider. Why do you think they get paid so well?
Because of those reasons.
Because
this job may be hazardous to your health.
Look what happened to Woj. Now, I think Woj was a little bit on the older side than most of the insiders now. But I remember listening to the interview when Woj decided that, first of all, Woj was making good money. I think he was making $7-8 million a year. He left 2 or 3 years and $20 million on the table.
To go back to his alma mater.
And people say, oh, what do you mean you have $20 million? Blah, 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 blah. First of all, I'm sure he's made enough money. Number one. Number two, do you really want to chase people around for insider information your entire life?
No.
That's a tough job, man. I give Adam Schefter a lot of credit. Not for all the BS that he's pulling owning a gambling casino app with Robert Kraft, but Jeff Passan. Jeff Passan is chasing everybody around. I mean, Elmo impression included. But if you haven't seen it, go check it out. It's one of what I love about Passan also is that he's willing to snap back in funny ways to people on social media.
Oh yeah, he's not afraid. I love it,
and it makes him a little bit more human, a little bit. But people need to realize, there's good and bad to being an insider. Because you have to realize you're not going to be liked by most of the players in the league you play that you're covering either. Because they're going to say, how the hell did you get that news? Did my agent blab to you as an insider? Did one of my friends talk to Adam Schefter or Shams or all that stuff? So I get it. But it's all business.
Yeah. With that, Nick, back to the media side here again. A very interesting story also in the NBA. But the San Antonio Spurs, Nick, fresh off of their first finals appearance in over 12 years, severed ties with TV broadcaster Jacob Toby following an internal team investigation. His termination comes, though, Nick, on the heels of allegations made of an inappropriate personal relationship between the broadcaster and Lindy Waters III, a Spurs player's sister, creating some untenable locker room dynamics, including being exposed by his ex-girlfriend. Nick, we talk about team chemistry on the playing court, though, but how quickly, though, can an off-court issue like this, though, involving a broadcast staff member and a family of a player completely derail a front office's locker room culture, especially for a team, though, Nick, like the Spurs?
So here's the problem with this story. Was there an illegal situation that went down in this scenario? The answer is no.
No. Legally speaking, no.
Am I saying what he did was wrong? Yes, I'm saying what he did was wrong. Immorally. Legally, no. Immorally, yes. So you have to play the two sides out and figure out which side are you on in the scenario of, is morally shut you down completely, or does it not? Now, in my opinion, morally is bad, but he might have a case for being terminated. I don't know what you think, but he might sue.
Would he sue? I wouldn't be surprised if he did, Nick, because why do I feel like that this falls into the category of wrongful termination? I get it, though, that it's, in a way, is this like the NBA's Rossini and Vrabel situation now all of a sudden, perhaps? But I would think, though, Nick, that this would be more grounds of wrongful termination just for the simple fact of broadcaster allegedly dating the sister of one of the players on the roster. Now, but again, it wasn't something heinous like murder, a car crash that killed somebody or something abuse, in those regards.
Abuse, verbal, mental abuse. I don't know, man. This would be an interesting case if he said, I didn't commit a crime. Morally, I'm a moron, but I didn't commit a crime. I didn't hurt anybody. Well, I don't know if you consider mental destruction hurting somebody. Depends. But I don't know if you'd be able to clarify that in a court of law.
I don't think so. I don't know.
But he didn't break the law. Let's start there. He didn't break the law. If you want to say he broke the moral code, which is what a lot of people say, yeah, he broke the moral code. You're dating somebody else, and then all of a sudden you're allegedly dating a player's sister. What the hell are you doing?
Yeah, like, come on, man. Be better.
If you don't like your situation, break up with the woman if you don't like her.
Yeah, that's all you have to do.
And I'm not saying that to be mean or bashful. Like, what's going through your head? First of all, why are you that close to a family member of the player?
Yeah, and especially, Nick, and I've seen that, though, throughout my time in the American Hockey League where I work, that I've told the stories, though, but like every offseason, around August or September, when we come in for the big onboarding process for the new season, what's the one thing that we're told? Stay away from the players and stay away from their families, on both sides. If they happen to approach you and, say hi, but don't begin to shoot the breeze with them because you're not supposed to be doing that.
Are you allowed to, like, if they want to shake a hand and just say hi, you can do that?
Sure.
I was going to say that's just more being cordial than anything.
Yeah, and believe me, when I'm at the arena walking around and I see staff members of the opposing team and from our side, I'll give them like a little head nod or whatever. Maybe say hi and then that's it. No more, no less.
Yeah, I mean, we've gotten to such an interesting place that even saying hi to people is being deemed as inappropriate. Is that unbelievable?
I mean, who would have thunk it, right?
I mean, again, it takes me back to when at work, like the whole Me Too movement. If you remember that whole thing when it...
For sure. Then that's a fair comparison.
And I was working in the office, doing my job, board hopping, all this stuff. I was helping whatever. But I saw it go on in the office. Guy wasn't doing anything. Girl screamed, "Me too," in the office.
Oof.
And I'm like, now, I was not going to get involved in that, but I saw, like, I feel like it was a crutch. Now, I'm not saying the Me Too movement is false by any means. Let me be very clear about that. But I feel like this, it could be used as a partial crutch sometimes where.
And that's a fair observation.
And this one, though, this has a zero tolerance to me where you're the play-by-play guy of the team. You have a good job, by the way. Why would you squander it?
Yeah, why risk your future? Why risk this sort of thing by doing this sort of sleazy stuff?
And it makes me wonder what's going on in your own life and in your personal life. Now, I would never dig into someone's personal life. It just makes me wonder what's going on in your personal life that you're crossing that boundary.
Right.
So, should he be fired? It's debatable. It's debatable over what your moral high ground is.
Yeah.
I don't know. Where's your moral high ground on this?
If he was married and this happens, then absolutely that should be fireable. But if you're just in a relationship with somebody, I don't think it's that much of a big deal that you could lose your job when you're not even married to the individual that you're with.
If you have a legal document of marriage, you shouldn't be crossing that line at all. Zero tolerance.
Wholeheartedly, I agree.
Even though in today's day and age, you see more people not following their marriage codes, which is unfortunate in today's day and age because people are always looking for the better offer, unfortunately. What is that statistic, though? I think they said 50% or more marriages end in divorce. I mean,
and I've had friends who've gone through it. It's not fun.
But that's crazy to think about. Half of marriages end in divorce. I can't even fathom that in my own head. So, but again, you have to consider moral high ground and say he was not allegedly, because again, we don't know the full story. It sounded like it was a girlfriend that he cheated on. I don't know if the player's sister is married or not. That would have been another problem too.
Yes.
If that came out, then if she is married, then I would say he instantly should be fired too. But we don't know that. If she's not married, I don't know what to tell you, to be honest. But Colin Cowherd did you see that he got slings and arrows thrown at him saying that the guy should lawyer up?
I'd lawyer up.
What'd you expect? I mean, I'm sure he was making good money doing that job. I would think. The Spurs are a medium-sized market.
Yeah.
Hey,
been successful.
They were just in the NBA Finals, for crying out loud. So I'm sure he's making decent money, but I don't know. The judge and the jury are still out on that one.
Nick, from all things basketball, all things baseball, all things baseball gambling, all things involving a disturbing investigative report published by the @Philly Sports social media handles that has exposed deep ethical concerns regarding high-stakes VIP gambling treatment. Per the report, Philly star Bryce Harper recorded a personalized video message at the specific request of a FanDuel VIP host for a high-rolling client. That client, though, Nick, went on a catastrophic losing streak. They lost $2 million, forfeited their home, and required a critical police intervention to prevent a suicide attempt. But, of course, Nick, both Harper and the league have both declined to offer any public commentary on the matter at hand. But, Nick, when a superstar player, though, gets pulled into personalized marketing for a high-stakes bettor who loses everything, why is baseball shouldn't baseball be forced, though, to address these dangerous ethical lines of these sportsbook partnership deals that they have, in fact, struck over the last several years?
Okay, I'm going to sound like a broken record, but I am going to say it again. I'm sorry. The leagues are not in bed with professional sports books?
They are.
Now, I can't fully blame Major League Baseball for this because FanDuel needs to take one on the chin here because Why are you sneakily going into Cameo saying, "Hi, I'm Brittany," however it was spelled, which was very odd, by the way. I'm a FanDuel host and I need this video, and there's a script there. Now, I'm going to blame Bryce Harper too, because why did you take the video knowing it was coming from somebody from FanDuel? So there's a lot of issues going on here, but Bryce Harper should have never accepted the video.
And I think that Bryce tried to clarify that, defend himself a little bit. Where again, I don't know if he's at fault or what, but it doesn't matter though, Nick. It's the simple fact again, once more, that this in a way, Nick, is literally degenerate gambling to a T in the Merriam-Webster dictionary right here. I mean, literally the fact, Nick, that the client goes on a losing streak. You lose $2 million. You forfeit your home. Then the police have to get involved because of a potential attempt of suicide. And then you have the league and Harper for a while sit on their hands and not do a damn thing about this.
And then to write that ridiculously long Instagram story and claiming that he didn't know. He's claiming ignorance. Oh, like every other athlete does after they do something. Don't you love when athletes, after they do something, they claim ignorance and they don't know what?
All the time. Ignorance or arrogance or what have you.
And FOS posted the instructions that the person gave. I'm going to read it so you can hear it. So it says, instructions for Bryce Harper. Hey, Terry, your host, Brittany from FanDuel, wanted to make sure your Thanksgiving was extra special. So I just wanted to hop on and wish you and your family a wonderful Thanksgiving. Tell Max, his son, whoever this person is, I said hello. Can add his own personal touches to the above as well. Are you kidding me?
A Thanksgiving gift?
What? Bryce, if you didn't know, why'd you do it? Or you're claiming ignorance. And on top of that, people in the social media comments were saying, you've made hundreds of millions of dollars. Why are you on Cameo? Why?
Yeah.
And he writes, in November 2024, someone identifying themselves only as Brittany submitted an order through Cameo for a personal holiday video for Terry. Cameo had a separate category for business video requests, and at the time, I did not know this video would be used for commercial purposes. Really? You're going to claim ignorance? It says in the first sentence, hi, Terry, your host, Brittany from FanDuel.
Like, how does that not, ring the alarm bells right there?
I did not know it was going to be used for commercial purposes. The request included a short script. I read it in good faith. Oh, please, give me a break. FanDuel then put its own logo on the video. That was wrong.
Yes, that right there is wrong.
That FanDuel's got to take one on the chin for that. That was horrible. Not even telling him what it was being used for. He might not have known that it was being used for FanDuel properties. He didn't know that. I'll give him that. They used it as a gambling promotion. If they did, that's wrong on FanDuel's part.
I agree.
I did not know FanDuel would do this. I did not consent to it, and FanDuel had no right to do it. Right, but if you recorded something that they paid for, doesn't it belong to them property-wise?
I would think so, yeah.
Had I known FanDuel's true intent, I would not have made the video. The same is true had I had known anything about Terry or his situation or about any alleged partnership between Cameo and FanDuel. So I looked this up, by the way. Apparently, FanDuel and Cameo have a partnership. I didn't even know that.
Neither did I.
Contrary to the Inquirer's suggestion, I did not know Cameo video would be used for a FanDuel VIP promotion, and I have no affiliation with FanDuel whatsoever. Counsel has directed me not to comment any further at this time. So the lawyers are involved. The lawyers are involved. So I think this is a situation where both parties are wrong. Bryce Harper should have never accepted the video. If he did not know what he was doing, What do they tell us in life when we're growing up, when we're 4 or 5 or 6 years old? If you don't know the person that you're near, don't go near them.
Stranger danger.
So if you don't know the cameo message you're receiving, why would you record it?
That's one though, Nick, as well. What's one thing that we're also taught? Make sure to look over look things over first. You would think where it says FanDuel, oh, I'm not going to do this video. Sorry, I can't do it.
Especially with all the gambling problems we have across professional sports. And I don't know I think FanDuel is an MLB partner. I think.
Yeah, they are.
So maybe that should have waved a red flag. Why didn't you go to Rob or someone in the commissioner's office and say, don't we already have a deal with FanDuel? Like, why would they be sending this to me on Cameo?
Yeah, don't they sponsor like all the daily home run contest on FanDuel?
And here's the other seedy thing. If FanDuel wanted something, if it was a direct partnership thing, why didn't they go through Major League Baseball and say, can you help us with a small little promotional thing?
Yeah, both parties are guilty as charged here.
So this is a weird story. And Bryce Harper's wrong for recording the video. FanDuel is wrong for suspiciously going through his Cameo account. Major League Baseball has a gambling problem. Too many ads. And if you see what's going on with the NBA and the NFL, I think you need to get in front of this problem before other players get roped into it. If I'm not mistaken, didn't we have a minor league gambling investigation? Something happened? We talked about it.
Baseball had one with, I think, 6 players, and one of them got a lifetime ban. Yes.
Yeah. And so they know it. They know this is a bad situation. And on top of that, the guy almost committing suicide after the video. Like, I hate when these gambling companies.
Not just that, though, the guy forfeited his home too. Like, my goodness gracious! Like, what more do we have to see here?
Well, because he had a gambling problem, and instead of saying, "I need to go get help," FanDuel kept throwing more stuff in his face. I was watching a Barstool podcast yesterday, and I thought the person made a really good point about gambling and what, unfortunately, how it is today. And with social media. He was comparing the two. And he said the way social media is built with the swipe culture, it's like pulling the slot on the slot machine.
Yeah.
Where they've basically built these apps where you get a dopamine hit every time you swipe on social media.
And that, Nick, is a good kind of tie-in. One of the upcoming benchmark episode scripts I'm working on is comparing the Bill Buckner vitriol of the 86 World Series to where we are now 40 years later. Where now it's no longer about my team wins or loses. Yeah. Bill Buckner cost me a bet on this gambling app for missing a ball that would have won my team the World Series.
Well,
and that ties into Jaron Duran, Ketel Marte, WNBA players, about how, even Brady Tkachuk even said, Nick, like about a year ago, he had people look up his old Venmo from college.
Yes.
Because they bet on him or the Senators to win or lose a game or his prop bets. And they're out here, requesting money from him because, oh, you lost me my money.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's not how that works. Yeah, gambling has caused a lot of problems. And I mean, I'm going to say the quiet part out loud. Unfortunately, the people who do gambling, a lot of people don't have the money to gamble. That's a big subsection
and also,
of it.
Nick, I'll say it, they're not true sports fans. I think they're not really a true sports fan if they go out there and then take that avenue off of the off-ramp and then say, okay, I found your Venmo, now give me back my money because you didn't hit the certain parlay.
Oh, well, you're talking about them threatening players. Yeah. I mean, you have to
because a real fan doesn't risk or wish death upon somebody going 0 for 5 with 5 strikeouts.
Well, yes, that of course that's a bad scenario. I don't know if I would say they're not a serious sports fan because you wouldn't bet,
or they take sports too damn seriously and make it all about their life.
Bingo. I think that's the proper statement of it. I think they take it too seriously. Now, you get people who, like for me, I like to do it periodically, not like any gambler out there. And then sometimes I'll do like 2 or 3 games, and then I'll sit and watch the game just for the entertainment's sake.
Yeah, of course.
Because I want to see what happens in the game. You get people who are betting and they can't take their eyes off the freaking TV because I got to win this bet or I bet my house.
And before we move on here, Nick, why do you think, though, for Puncher's Chance, and why do you think for UW on here, not only do we have people that know how to talk about betting on this network,
but we're careful.
But why do you think we have those disclaimer messages before the show even starts?
Because we don't want lawsuits and people coming after us, man. Like, you got to be so careful. Like, especially, like, eventually if we end up with a sports book deal, like, you're going to see disclaimers. This is full disclosure. We've talked about this already. If we end up with a sports book, a real sports book, not Novig, you're going to see disclaimers on every freaking show here. And I mean that sincerely. Because, and we might even go a little bit further just to protect it if we're working with like a legitimate sports book. Now, the sports books, if they come to us, they're going to say anyway, make sure you have, now you were way ahead of it because you and I had discussed it, like the 1-800-GAMBLERS, the hotlines for
Entertainment
help
purposes only, bet what you can afford to lose.
Correct. And it was interesting, like talking to Connor Rowland, who's our co-host on UW. Like him and I talk about this all the time. He's like, hey, like I don't mind showing some bets that I've made,
but not all of them.
And I'm not going to show like the ridiculously big ones because I don't want people thinking that, oh, I did it, so that means I can go out there and do it. Which I totally respect in that regard. You don't want to be a Dave Portnoy where he'll go out and then he'll show the ridiculous bets. And we're talking about $400,000, $500,000 bets. Now,
or look at Floyd Mayweather betting, or look at Drake betting half the time.
Which, by the way, he lost like $1 million on Conor McGregor.
Yeah, it's still though.
But to them, that's like throwaway money, which is part of the problem with gambling. So you see people like Dave Portnoy and Floyd Mayweather and Drake, who, what is $1 million to them? It's play money. Is that how you would refer to it?
Yeah.
I mean, if I'm not mistaken, when Michigan, when he was in attendance, when Michigan won the national championship, how many years ago was that now?
2023.
And he put, and this is no joke, he put $1.5 million on Michigan to win the national title. $1.5 million. What do you think that says to the gambling community that says, I just want to make a $10 bet, a $20 bet, maybe if I'm feeling frisky, maybe a $30 to $50 bet? What is that saying to those people when you see people like that?
Yeah.
Now, I've had this conversation with Nick D before, and he is right on some aspects, where what is in the public interest of a rich person? Gambling and golf. Because rich people play golf all the time. I don't know why. They gamble, they play golf, they own horses, which is
Bob Baffert.
Well, but yes.
Nick, in wake of the MLB All-Star Game today, Rob Manfred has also said today this is a follow-up to the ongoing Padres ownership sale.
Okay.
Because of the fact that the sale has not closed yet still, but the commissioner did reiterate per Padre beat writer Kevin Acee in the local newspaper today that it will get done. Manfred's comments made to the UT on the state of the Padres ownership transfer were consistent with what others familiar with the situation have said over the last couple of weeks about saying apart. Manfred said it is a question of getting investment commitments, documentation to be put in a condition that it's ready for a club vote, open and close quote. The Padres were sold back in early May to the couple of Jose E. Feliciano and Kwanzaa Jones. valued at roughly $3.9 billion. With both Feliciano and Jones expected to hold a stake of around 45%, with several people and entities, including some current stakeholders, making up the rest of the Padres ownership group. Manfred, though, did decline on Tuesday to give a timeline on when the sale will be complete. Others have estimated that a vote of the team owners will take place in August rather than this month. The transfer of ownership must be approved by 22 of the 29 other Major League Baseball owners, though, in fact, Nick, the timeline for the sale was supposed to be the timeline initially for the sale to be complete had owners potentially voting last month, but that has been delayed for probably, I would say, Nick, just regular business practices here across baseball.
Yeah, I'm not surprised, and I'm sure part of it has to do with all this lockout crap that's going on right now. Would I be surprised if maybe this got held up until the lockout situation, maybe? So that they could figure out all the fiscal business from Major League Baseball?
Or is it collusion?
No, I doubt it's collusion.
Oh, come on. Delaying the vote till August after the trade deadline so the Padres can't make any moves? No, I'm kidding.
Well, who says they can't be involved behind the scenes?
Yeah,
but
exactly.
Even though that, I don't know if that's fully legal. By the way, it's a double wee-woo. Yes, I haven't said that in a long time. Yes. More news out of Major League Baseball. And this is involving the lockout situation.
Oh, which I'll talk about later on Cranium, because we have some all-stars who have popped off about the salary cap, but still say that there's still time to get a deal done.
This has to do with the salary cap. So there's a little bit of jawing going back and forth between Mr. Manfred and union head Bruce Meyer currently. And it's happened in the last hour or two. So according to Rob Manfred, on payroll disparity and why the league wants a salary cap, the gap is $441 million.
Whew.
It defies human experience to ask a fan to think that the bottom end of that gap has the same opportunity to win as the top end, according to Rob Manfred. Now, Bruce Meyer's take, the owners want a system that not only guarantees their profits, not only increases their franchise values, but essentially is a form of subsidized mediocrity. Owner protection from competition. Salary cap is the ultimate excuse not to compete. This is so heading for a lockout.
I can't wait for December when we're on here for like a 10-hour stream with the Hitting from a Psycho crew to talk about the lockout.
December 1st.
Mark it on the calendar. With that in mind, though, Nick, we'll stay in baseball, though, and more L's heading the way of the San Francisco Giants as their ace pitcher Logan Webb has officially deactivated his public Twitter account. The social media exit for Webb followed an intense public back and forth digital dispute with both fans of the Giants, but also a local reporter, Nick, from KNBR Radio, highlighting the mounting friction between pro athletes and local beat media over real-time commentary. Nick, the issues with the Giants continue to pop up here off the field, but when the team's ace pitcher decides to completely wipe out their social media presence over a spat with a beat reporter, is it a smart move to cut out the noise, or does it show that online criticism is getting under the skin of the clubhouse now even more with what we have talked about, though, in the last several weeks, though, in San Francisco?
Man, KNBR can't catch a break, can it?
Neither can the Giants.
But I brought it up to you last night, like the whole Susan Slosser situation that went down with KNBR and her basically taking a flamethrower to KNBR. And then the whole Larry Bear situation that the Giants basically said no tough questions about the Pride Night scenario.
On top of the Buster Posey pregame interview that was done where the media kept hounding Posey and the PR rep, as we long said, kept interjecting themselves about, no, you cannot ask these questions.
So again, this is an if or what scenario where is it a problem with KNBR management? Is it a problem with the way players are today?
Or a problem with the Giants?
Or is it a problem with the Giants? Now, we've seen some issues with KNBR management because remember, I DM'd back and forth with Mark Willard, who he wasn't mean to me. He just said it's not really worth a discussion, at least not at the current situation. But he said to me that it's not a good situation, and that's why I think he's not there anymore. I don't think.
Oh, he's still there in the
He's still-
evenings. Yeah.
But he said like there's some issues going on at KMBR. You got to be careful with player scenarios because think about it. All these stations have what they call like daily, what do they call them? Like weekly spots
Yep.
where players show up. Now, I don't remember what Logan Webb said. Do we have anything that Logan Webb had said or what he said to the reporter? Because that would help us a little bit.
Bleacher Report, Nick, put out 5 days ago that Giant star pitcher Logan Webb wiped out his social media account on Twitter after he called out Jack Lauder of KNBR after the Giants got beat 10-0 against the Blue Jays, where Dylan Cease had his no-hitter broken up in the top half or the bottom half of the ninth inning. Jack Lauder initially discussed Webb's performance during the defeat in a social media video. Per Sean Keeley of Awful Announcing, Lauder said in the video, when someone is supposed to be your ace, you think that they're going to give you the best chance to win every week. Logan Webb had an awesome June. He was bad in April, missed most of May. I've said over the years that he's been a great Giant. I've really appreciated his tenure, but there's always been a little bit lacking, open and close quote. Webb eventually responded to the post by writing, "You know what's sad is they allow people like you in the locker room," open and close quote. The right-hander later replied to multiple other comments on social media before he finally wiped out his social media channel on Twitter. He did, though, struggle mightily in the game on Wednesday, giving up 5 hits and 5 earned runs in 7 innings of work, and also recorded 2 strikeouts as plus 2 walks, but also gave up a grand slam to Blue Jays rookie Kazuma Okamoto that blew the game wide open. The Giants also, Nick, at the time fell to 38-52 with that loss on Wednesday across the board.
I would also say the Giants organization is in a rut between their shitty manager, which Isaiah apparently thinks is the best manager in the history of baseball.
Ha ha ha.
I think that inexperience is also showing with how the players are acting towards the media outlets, too. Because if this was an experienced manager, first of all, Logan Webb would have been called to the carpet, number one. I don't think he was called to the carpet at all, to be honest.
I think he would have been pulled, though, a lot sooner than the 7th inning when the game's already out of control and out of reach, and you're getting no hit by Dylan Cease and the Blue Jays.
But there's a quote from, I don't know if you know John Shea, who covers the Giants.
Yeah, I got to interview John Shea when I was in college. Yeah, great guy.
He's now, he's on his own platform now. I forgot which outlet he used to write for.
Chronicle.
Oh, Chronicle. That's right. He said he spoke with Logan Webb about the whole social media incident, and he explained his side of the matter, apologized for his comments, and vowed to stay off Twitter/X, calling the other night, quote, "my last hurrah." So,
I mean, maybe it's a good thing, though, that athletes tune out the noise. You know, I recall, Nick, that Manny Machado fully wiped out his IG account last season after he liked a video from former Charger kicker and now ESPN LA host Scott Kaplan, that Manny had liked a video where Kaplan was just clobbering the Padre front office about something and Mike Schild about something, and Manny happened to like the video, and of course people screen grabbed it, and Machado wiped out his IG.
I mean, it makes sense. The one thing I will say is players need to learn that they can't just pop off at people, especially the media, when everything gets recorded and videoed today, and your statement's gonna get you in trouble, potentially out of the league that you're in. When you're a professional athlete, you're part of what? The top 1% that competes? Imagine being paid to be a pitcher on a Major League Baseball team. You pitch once every 5 days because you're a starter and you make a lot of money. And you're gonna F it up over making a statement. Now, again, I have no idea what the reporter said to him. Do we have any idea what the reporter said to him?
Well, not really. It really wasn't about what he had said to Logan Webb. It was a Twitter video that happened. Let me just pull up the story real quick. That Jack Lauder, my apologies, basically said, this is what I do have the video, actually, Nick, from Bleacher Report. Let me go ahead and just try and pull this up real quick. So this is a 2-minute and 8-second long video here from Jack on social from KNBR 1050 in San Francisco and in the Bay Area. Here is what Jack had to say regarding Logan Webb and his video that he calls, this is what he calls 128 giant post-game seconds. Here we go. One sec. There we go.
Okay, Giants post-game thoughts. The Giants lose 10-0, get one hit by Dylan Cease, who's masterful. They look dead from the jump. The game started at 12:45. By 12:49, the game was over. The Blue Jays with a 5 spot on the top of the first. Logan Webb gives up 5. He's notoriously not great in the first inning. And then he was great, though. Then he dealt for the next 5 or so innings. Unfortunately, it didn't matter because the game was...
So let me stop it right here real quick, Nick. This just went to the point that we brought up. Any other manager out there, and I know you don't want to burn the bullpen so early, but why, though, why allow the game to snowball that badly after the first inning where you're already behind 5-0?
That's a good question.
Let's continue.
Over at 12:49. And people say, well, how do you blame Webb when the offense didn't do anything? Yes, the offense didn't do anything. I'm spreading the blame here. Maybe they do something if it's 0-0 or 1-0. When someone's supposed to be your ace, you think that they're going to give you the best chance to win every week. Logan Webb had an awesome June. He was bad in April. He missed most of May. I've said over the years he's been a great Giant. Like, I've really appreciated his Giant tenure. But there's always been a little bit lacking. I wish he was a little bit more of an ace because Lord knows this team has needed him in so many instances in the last few years. And I think too much of the time, someone who's referred to as a bona fide ace, for someone who's referred to as that, Webb has come up a little short. He might be searching his name on Twitter after the game. Who knows? Which is never a great look. Yeah.
Okay, that part I agree with, Nick. Why after a game do you run to social media and then search your name on social media to see what people are saying about you?
Well, that brought up what I think we talked about that the other night with Tessa Blanchard, who responded to our network post because we put out that she was the roaster wrestler. She had fun with it, at least. But I said, well, how did she find it? It's not like we tagged her in it or anything.
She's a name searcher.
Which is fine, I guess, for certain aspects. So,
right, here we go.
Just another bummer, another just dead fish performance. Tony Vitello in the postgame, looks like the light has kind of left his eyes. He said Webb looks really good. I predicted that. Anyone could have predicted that they'd say, oh, I thought Webb looked really good after the first inning. Yeah, great. Sorry. It sucks that the game was lost after the first inning. None of this matters for 2026. The season's been over for like a month, but it is really concerning. There's a leadership void, and I'm not saying it falls on Vitello because he hasn't been great, but like a lot of people have said, he deserves nothing worse than like an incomplete because the tools aren't there, especially the bullpen. But the veterans, the highest paid guys, letting this team down. They're letting the franchise down right now. They're letting the fans down. So that's about 120 post-game Giant second. My credential looks like a choker now. Seems making me emo. See you guys.
So that was Jack Lauder of KNBR following the Wednesday game where the Giants are one hit by the Blue Jays 10-0. Again, this also comes in wake of what happened with Logan Webb wiping off his Twitter account after the dispute with Jack following the ball game, including a bunch of responses by Webb towards the fans, towards the media, towards KNBR, which I think, though, Nick is right. KNBR's had a lot of issues here recently. And this, goes back to, the Larry Baer issue, the Buster Posey issue, Susan Slusser's comments. But also, Nick, we covered a story, though, too, during the NHL season. KNBR got put through the meat grinder by hockey fans for allowing AI to write Sharks content. And nobody was there to go and look it over. That, the game doesn't go to 4 periods. It goes to 3.
They were updating the results of the game via AI on Twitter, and I think it was on Twitter. And people were saying that didn't happen in the game, or the results are off, or things are misspelled, or what is the big thing you and I say all the time when we use AI?
And we said this last night in the content dungeon. You got to double check.
You have to. It's not a one-size-fits-all scenario. You could use AI as a jump-off point and use it to do what you got to do. But you have to check and make sure your facts are correct. Everything is spelled correctly. The logos are correct. I had to go and fix our Press Row logo before we came on here because the picture of Dan Patrick was not Dan Patrick. So you got to make sure you do your due diligences. Okay, I just came across something really.
Oh boy.
This has to do with LeBron James and this free agency, and I'm about to bust a gasket, really. So LeBron's free agency has caused a stir to the point where we have a Giannis situation going on. Kalshi. Where, you ready for this? There has now been over $111 million traded on the LeBron James next team market at Kalshi. Wait. Cleveland 43%, Golden State 35% are the favorites, with the Warriors closing the gap. Is this a joke? Are you kidding me? This is such a conflict of interest, too. Again, $111 million traded on his next destination. Are you kidding me? Get rid of these freaking prediction markets.
Well, speaking of prediction markets, Nick, let's go and talk about Katie Nolan, who's a popular sports media personality, did confirm recently that she has actively turned down lucrative sportsbook advertising and gambling partnerships for her independent media property called Casuals. Katie explicitly noted that her decision stems from a desire to show her audience that you can have a relationship with sports outside of a financial one, standing out as a rare counter movement against the sports media industry's total reliance and obsession with betting revenue. Nick, in a media place, though, like where we are today, completely fueled by sportsbook money, can a show, though, like Casuals survive long-term by actively turning down massive gambling dollars in ad revenue?
So just to make sure we're all on the same page. So Casuals is also a podcast she does on SiriusXM.
Yes.
And she does a 1-hour show daily on Mad Dog Sports Radio, Monday through Friday, called Fan Service from noon to 1 p.m. Eastern. And that's completely controlled by Sirius. They control what ads run, all that stuff. And once the NFL season comes back, you're going to see live reads for DraftKings and FanDuel and all these things. It's going to be a shit show. That's how many gambling ads are going to run on all the sports channels. Casuals is her podcast that happens to be on the SiriusXM podcast network where they have all these big name podcasts.
Yep.
She has more control over that. Even though it's on their platform, it's her show. Even though Fan Service is her show, they made her part of the lineup at Mad Dog Sports Radio. So she has more power over Casuals than she does Fan Service. So I get what she's talking about. I feel like the gambling ad revenue is overly saturated to the point where you can't turn your head for 2 seconds and not see a DraftKings, FanDuel, BetMGM, Prize Picks, Underdog. You see them all. So it is a problem. And she's saying, like, I want to talk about sports where I don't have angry people approaching me and say, oh, well, we heard gambling ads and we did this, blah, 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 blah. So I don't think she's wrong.
No.
And she's a big enough name. There's plenty of other companies that could sponsor her on the podcast. You don't have to have gambling money. Now,
yeah, and that kind of has long been like not really what scared me personally, just with myself because of where I live, as I long say about California and their very iron fist. You can't gamble. You can you have to play blackjack to 22. You have to play roulette with cards and not a ball and a wheel and stuff like that, which is scared. Like in a way, like I'm scared, but like it's been in the back of my mind though about okay, if this thing takes off and we get these these potential sportsbook partners, what does that mean for me personally? Which I know it wouldn't really affect me, but still. But I mean, yeah, you could thrive off having like Red Bull or DoorDash or Taco Bell or Budweiser being a sponsor of your show, and you don't have to, always tap into getting revenue from a gambling partner out there.
Is there more money to be had with a
Sure.
gambling partner? Sure. And to be honest, like, if we had a sports book partner, we would take off in spades. But I'm not saying I don't want sports books for everything. Like, we could spread out and have individual sponsors for all shows and break it up into category. Like, it's not all about sports book money, but we are in a sports centric economy where you can't survive without a sports book as a sponsor. Am I saying that's a great thing? No, I'm not. But if you have a sports book that's legitimate behind you, then people take you more seriously, which I wish it wasn't that way. But when you have a sports book as a sponsor, then you gain credibility in the market, which then leads to more opening of sponsors from different categories of things. So I respect the fact that she came out and said that first of all, she's made enough money between Fox and when she went to ESPN. Garbage Time, which was one of my favorite shows, actually, because it just felt like doing sports and comedy. It would be a different scenario if she needed to make money and she needed to pay bills. And I'm not reaching into people's pockets. I'm going to be very clear about that. But if it was a different scenario where she needed to pay bills, I don't know if she would have the same.
And she was also on Crowd Goes Wild. Yeah.
Well, she was on with Regis. That was the first show on FS1. But it would be a different scenario if she had to pay the bills. I'm just going to say that up front.
Yeah.
Otherwise, she doesn't. Now, I'm not saying she's like rich or whatever, but she's had enough where she has the ability to say no to the gambling partners. That's how I would put it.
Yeah, definitely. With that, Nick, we'll wrap up this hour of the program with new details, Nick, of the wildness regarding a physical aggressive altercation involving former Miami Heat teammates Bam Adebayo and Tyler Hero, which saw the blowout clash happen in a high-end hotel gym in Vegas during NBA Summer League operations, which forced bystanders to intervene and exposing deep-seated personal friction between the two prominent NBA stars, allegedly after barbs were exchanged on social media by Hero towards Adebayo after the trade was made involving Giannis heading to Miami from Milwaukee. But, Nick, this happens usually, though, sometimes when two high-profile teammates or former teammates have to be physically pulled apart in a public space, though. Does it tell you that there was major unresolved beef brewing inside that Miami locker room last season or over the last several years?
I mean, one, I have to say, because it's like a giant circus. Now, a lot of people are saying, should the NBA get involved? This is in the NBA offseason. It was not done on NBA time. So to be honest, I don't know if the NBA should or could get involved in it, to be honest.
But if it's happening while they're at a gym during the summer league operations still mean the NBA. I would think there would have to be some kind of a fine or a one-game suspension or something.
It all depends if someone got it on video and they can watch it back. Because right now, there's no evidence of it. There's just reports that apparently Tyler Hero went on social media and his DMs got exposed. And he was basically insulting Bam Adebayo, calling him out and stuff. And Bam reportedly went up and swiped him in the face.
So a little Will Smith, Chris Rock action, huh?
Yeah, but that's a little bit of a low blow to call out your former teammate that you just got traded from that team.
Yeah, Nick, that whole dynamic is weird because, I think we're all led to believe that, these guys who, again, they see their teammates more than they see their family for 6 months out of the year, that, I think we're all led to believe that, all the guys love each other. They all buy into the system. I mean, that might be true, though. But, Nick, think of like some other duos or other teams that blew up in a way. The Bronx Zoo Yankees, the 2021 San Diego Padres. Hero and Adebayo, Kobe and Shaq, Jordan and Pippen, for example. Like all these, teams or duos or whatever, like they may have had their runs, Nick, and that it may have looked great on television when they're, jumping in the air and celebrating winning a game or a championship. But what about behind the scenes, though, in the locker room? I mean, did we all forget about how Shaq had that karaoke bar diss track of Kobe after they lost to the Celtics in 2008?
Yeah, I know. I mean, not to cross sports, but think about the boat, the cruise ship boat, the Vikings.
Oh yeah, or the banana boat issues with the Heat, believe it or not, too.
That was so stupid. But unless we see video, there's no way to. Because if it didn't happen like directly on NBA time, the NBA can't get involved at all because technically it's the off season and all that stuff. If it happened during a NBA summer league game and somebody caught it, then it's a whole different scenario. And yes, someone would have to be.
And for those wondering, too, by the way, neither team would comment on the matter at hand, too, for those that are wondering.
Yeah, because they're cowards. I always find it funny. Oh, no comment, no comment, no comment. Well, I mean, then fine. We're just going to have to be in the dark. We're just going to keep speculating until someone actually says what happened.
Sports moves fast, and we're here to keep you ahead of the chains. Please join Nick DiMartino and Johnny Montalbano for Moving the Goalpost, held every Thursday at 11:30 a.m. Eastern, 8:30 a.m. Pacific time, as they cover the full spectrum of the Big Four, from the gridiron and the diamond to the court and the ice, whether they're analyzing a NBA playoff bracket, discussing a major coaching shakeup in the NHL, or recapping a legendary finish on the golf course. They bring you unique perspectives and a touch of humor. Don't just watch the games, understand the moves that changed them, only on the Empty the Bench Network. Make sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel today at youtube.com/ETB Network. With that in mind, Nick, we're going to keep going on here as we're way beyond into hour 3 now, finally here with our hour 3 segments, though. But Nick, NHL Commissioner Gary Bettman, about 2 days away from the new season schedule being dropped on Thursday, did concede to industry experts and reporters that it is currently hard to say whether the NHL will successfully arrange a early U.S. national media right renewal with both TNT Sports and ESPN. The cautious statement underscores the volatile and shifting landscape of the national sports television rights as networks reevaluate long-term traditional cable valuations. Nick, if Commissioner Bettman is already acting hesitant about an early renewal window, are we looking at a shifting marketplace where ESPN and TNT may not be willing to pay a premium for the NHL rights starting sometime in the future?
This is all just blowing smoke by a commissioner, just like trying to get out ahead of the negotiations. Look what I think I made. Excuse me,
last night. Yeah,
the comparison to Roger Goodell and the NFL want to rip up their deals 2 years before they come up because they know if they do it now, they can get more money, and they know the streamers are there, so they can make that type of money. I think this is just. Are the networks going to call the bluff of the commissioner? And what's happening now is less and less networks are actually more networks are calling the bluff of the commissioners. Oh, you're not going to do this.
Spain has taken the lead over France 1-0 in the World Cup semifinals 23 minutes in.
I totally forgot soccer was on right now. Yeah, but the networks are going to call the bluff of the commissioner. Like, now, the commissioner can't do crap. If the deals are signed, the deals are signed. The networks don't have to give up their deals if they don't want to. So it's going to be a game of chicken to the end. And I think TNT has said, like, they're not even sure if they're going to continue on, which, by the way, they're already down like 23 to 25% revenue because they stupidly gave up the NBA when they could have kept it. I don't know, man. I mean, hockey has more to lose than the NBA does.
Nick, why do you think that the NHL reported about a 70% surge in playoff viewership this year?
Why do I think it's up 70%?
Because all the games were on cable, not behind a paywall.
Well, you have to remember the Canadian games are on Amazon.
Only on Monday.
Okay. Well, I think ESPN has helped them in spades, big time. I think what are they on? What did you say? Tuesday and
I think it's Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, Sunday for early games in the like 9:30 a.m. time slot on the West Coast.
then they were on the Stanley Cup being on ESPN. I think was a big thing too.
ABC, ESPN, yeah, or at least ESPN, yes, because the NBA Finals were on ABC.
Yeah, ESPN had a log jam going into the NBA
and it was
Finals.
cool though how it worked, how it went though. It would alternate. You had NBA one night, NHL, NBA, NHL, and then you had all going from there. Yeah,
which was probably smart because they were able to control it, and you always had something to watch. I think last year they had that scenario too.
Yep.
So it all depends on what your content preference is. But here's the thing: if TNT is stupid enough, like they dropped the NBA, I think ESPN's going to pick up more games.
I think they will. I mean, they have ESPN Plus and Hulu that they can put more games on, but I think that they would.
And could Amazon come to the table in the U.S. and air some games?
They package in Canada.
I could see that. I think NBC's out of the picture, obviously, because they gave it up. Who else is out there? I don't even know.
Fox
CBS?
Or CBS?
I think CBS is too connected to the NFL and college basketball and college football. Fox has had no relationship with the NHL.
No, they had a national TV partnership about 30 years ago. Yeah.
Right. But it's been a long time.
Yeah.
And I don't know any analysts that would work for Fox unless they're just going to
use local teams probably.
Or they're going to push over whoever does the national games for the NHL. Well, Kenny Albert at Fox.
Kenny Albert already works for Fox.
But he's the only one I can think of off the top of my head that would call any games. So they're kind of in a situation where
they're in a bit of a pickle. I agree
that ESPN's not going anywhere. They're gonna have ESPN. I didn't know that TNT was they're trying to go early. They're copying the NFL. Let's just call a spade a spade. The NFL can rip up their deals, so can we. No. The NFL has way more leverage than the NHL does. The NFL can go to any other partner they have and say, I have extra NFL games. I'll take them. Like,
Netflix.
Even though YouTube, which they tried, it didn't work out. The NFL has way more firepower.
Yeah.
And anyone who could say, I have a deal with the NFL, people are instantly going to come to your platform and watch it.
Oh, 1,000%.
Now, is the NHL getting better? Yeah. Are you instantly going to go to not you, I'm talking the average person. Are they going to go to any platform to watch the NHL?
No, unless they live in a marketplace.
And I'm not putting down hockey. Let me be very clear about that. But it's on ESPN. I watched every Stanley Cup final game because it's accessible. It's easy to find. I don't know if you put it behind the Prime Video paywall in the U.S., would people watch it?
I think those numbers tank if that happens.
Or Netflix. Because
those numbers tank, I think.
So I think it's a little naive that Gary Bettman thinks he can rip up his contracts early like the NFL. Like, the NFL will always have a landing place. I don't know if hockey has as many landing places as the NFL does.
Only in Canada, and probably I'd say in just the original 6 marketplaces. New York, Detroit, Toronto, Montreal, Chicago.
Was it last week or 2 weeks ago we talked about the massive deal in Canada that went away?
CBC ending Hockey Night in Canada after like 75 years.
And I think that's a big deal, too. Because if you don't have a vehicle to land on for the games, why are you going to air the games?
We talked about that, and we also talked about last week how Rogers has taken full control of Maple Leaf Sports and Entertainment and how they wiped out 2 Canadian radio stations, and now the Calgary Flames have nothing.
Yeah, that's a problem, too. The NHL should keep their deals. If they were smart, they would keep their deal.
I mean, you can't afford to take a step back after you've had this great surge of playoff viewership. You've got exciting teams now, that are coming to the forefront, like Chicago trying to get back what Anaheim pulled off, how close the Sharks were to making the postseason. You can't afford to lose this momentum, though, Nick, when you have so many young budding stars now making a name for themselves, though, by taking a step backwards, on the monopoly board, as I kind of said about USA Soccer last week.
Right. I mean, I don't know. Like I said, it's unfortunate, but the NHL does not have the firepower that the NFL does.
Someday soon, whether you like it or not, people. With that in mind, Nick, back to all things involving the World Cup, though, but a couple of media personalities feel the need to sideswipe some certain individuals in a little bit of a case here. But of course, Nick, Fox Sports 1 talk show host Colangelo launched a scathing critique, though, against the American soccer media landscape, and for that matter, the American sports media landscape, labeling the entire press corps as being soft. Cowherd argued that it is fundamentally healthy and also necessary for the sports growth to aggressively criticize and hold top stars like Christian Pulisic accountable for after major losses like Monday, rather than coddling them like it's a niche sport along. Nick, is Colin Cowherd right that the American sports press and soccer press treats the national team, the men's national team, that is, with kid gloves, or is he just applying standard NFL-style hot take logic to a sport that requires a bit more nuance to the casual or ignorant American sports fans out there?
No, he's right that the media treats USA Soccer as soft as
just the men's team. They do.
I mean, I see it a little bit in the women's team, a little bit also. It depends on what the topic is. But for the men's, I mean, Christian Pulisic has gotten away with murder. The way, like, now, I know he had an injury. I know whatever, all that stuff. But apparently, like, his group, his team are not the nicest people. And, like, they've tried to cover it, and then it gets thrown away and ignored.
Well, but then though, Nick, we had that whole very much, phony baloney post-game interview though done with Jenny Tapp, where he said, yeah, I play, but now I get to rest for a full year and get healthy.
That was
and
bad.
when you've got Carly Lloyd, who's a 2-time World Cup champion, you've got Sydney Leroux, who defected Canada to come play for Team USA, who's a World Cup champion, and then you have the face of American men's soccer, Landon Donovan, all digging your grave and burying you alive in the press corps for how you made those remarks, though. And we get about the injury. But, Nick, all three of them, though, their criticism, as you wrote to me on Creative last week, all that criticism was 100% valid and warranted, and it was rightfully deserved.
Yeah. I mean, this, I find it funny. And a lot of people were saying, like, oh, we should be happy that USA competed. First of all, winning your group was a soft group that you played out of. A lot of the teams were not very competitive. You also lost the game in the group stage. Okay? And once you got out of the group stage, you won a game or two, but you were not going to beat the top level teams. But no one's talking about that.
Except for me, where again, I sit on Cranium on Tuesday. I said this on ETP on Saturday and in the lounge on Sunday. The U.S. men's national team is a bona fide fringe top 25 American hand egg and college basketball program who can hang, who can kind of hang with the big dogs. They can beat up on the bottom feeders, but they can never beat the big dog that they have to beat, who's ranked 1 through 10. Belgium, by the way, was 8th coming into the tournament in the FIFA rankings.
And what's funny is, though, like, people are so obsessed with the Balogun red card situation and whether Trump was involved and all this stuff. They're so obsessed over that and not covering the performance of the team. The team got embarrassed and lost 4-1. Like, they weren't even competitive. No one even talks about how the goalie completely went out to get the ball and completely had a brain fart and couldn't decide whether to kick the ball or not. And then the ball goes right behind him for a goal. Like, no one's talking about how Pulisic was an embarrassment, even though we found out he had a tibia.
11 turnovers in the first half before he got subbed out with the injury.
And I always find it hilarious that we find out about these injuries after the fact. Like, they had to have known he had an injury.
Well, he already had the calf injury in game 1 against Paraguay that they won 4-1.
Right, but a tibia injury doesn't just show up randomly during a game. He had to have had an injury, a much more serious injury.
And as much, though, Nick, as Colin Cowherd is, Mr. NFL on FS1, I give Colin a shitload of credit, though, my man.
Yeah.
Because he will talk soccer. He will talk soccer. He'll talk all the sports, though. I know that it's a very much a NFL-driven show. But whenever he talks soccer, I stop and listen because I know that it's not, to the NFL or to college football. But he does have some pretty damn good insight whenever he talks about it. And I think, though, that his remarks in the herd were absolutely justifiable. That we should be treating every sport and every athlete with the same level of criticism, good, bad, good or bad or constructive or not, like you would, like you would critique a Pat Mahomes, a Manny Machado, a Macklin Celebrini. They all deserve to get their scorn when they, screw up and don't win a game or stuff like that. And that we keep having the stupid, soft mindset about soccer. I get it, people on this network, that you don't like the game of soccer. That still does not mean that we cannot form opinions about how this team performed, though, and how you can go about criticizing them, just like you can criticize your starting quarterback, your starting third baseman, your starting centerman in hockey, or your starting shooting guard in the NBA.
What I will say is some of the takes were naive across the network here a little bit, where I hate talking about it. I mean, I talked about it a little bit last night, but I think Nick D's take was ignorant on moving the goalposts a little bit, where you say you're not going to watch soccer or you're not going to watch certain sports unless it fits the show narrative. Number one, your show shouldn't have a show narrative. It should be whatever you're covering in the world of sports to whatever the headlines are. Like on Lounge, like you covered the McGregor fight because that was what's in the news, or you covered the U.S. men's national team losing because you guys hadn't covered it since they had won, since they lost. But you got to cover what's trending in news. The World Cup is trending right now because that's the massive event that's going on. The NBA's in the offseason. The NHL's in the offseason. Major League Baseball is still kind of in the grind of the middle of the season. They're in the All-Star break.
All-Star break.
So the World Cup is what's trending right now. I don't want to hear NFL offseason crap yet. Like, we haven't even hit training camp. Once training camp hits, then you could talk the NFL. Because that's when you're winding up and getting ready for the season. Same thing with college football. Until spring camps hit, like, you really shouldn't be talking college football unless you have the few stories, which we're going to hopefully get to because we're a little behind on schedule. But you gotta cover what's in the news, what's trending in the sports world. And the World Cup is what's been trending for the last month.
3.5, 4 weeks.
So to say that you're not going to cover certain sports because you don't watch them, like, that's an ignorant thought and an ignorant take.
Most importantly, how often, Nick, do I say, I don't watch the NFL or American football, but I respect what the league does, but I don't back the product because they chose to leave this marketplace, the 8th biggest city in the entire country, because of incompetence by the ownership group. That's why I don't support the NFL. But I will still give the league its flowers, though, and talk about it, even though I don't know what the hell's going on in that sport. But I don't totally ignore the NFL, though I don't watch it. That was the other thing, though, that drove me nuts, though, is that, comparing soccer to the NFL, that's a battle that the NFL is going to win every time. Even I know that. But don't be dismissive of the world's game because you only watch it every 4 years.
Well, that's why I said to you, well, I didn't say this on a show, but I'll say it now, that comparing soccer to the NFL is what I call a low-hanging fruit argument, where obviously if you put the NFL up against soccer, hockey, baseball, NBA, any sport, the NFL ratings are gonna trounce any sport you put up against. That's why I call it a low-hanging fruit argument. Also, there's different demographics for all those sports. So it's not a fully fair argument to say that, well, the NFL beats everything. Of course, the ratings are going to beat everything else. But you have to look at what demo are they beating them in? What age group? What is it, male? Is it female? Is it older? Is it younger? What nationalities are watching sports? So you kind of have to look at it from the scenario of, I think to me, it's a low-hanging fruit argument to say that just because the NFL has the highest ratings, that it should be the only thing talked about. That's a bizarre take.
Hate to say it, gang, but the World Cup final is going to trounce the Super Bowl ratings this upcoming year. Don't at me. Sorry.
Probably. I don't know if it'll be as high up as you think, but I definitely could see it getting higher numbers for sure. Now, the World Cup has the same scenario as the NFL. It's a one-time event. Now, the Super Bowl is every year, so it's hard to judge based off the World Cup being 1 month. And you have to get teams that everyone wants to watch. Now,
571 million people on average watched the World Cup final in Qatar 4 years ago. 1.4 to 1.5 billion watched at least a minute of the match live. The Super Bowl in 2024 with the Chiefs and Niners only brought in 123.7 million U.S. viewers and 62.5 million international for 264 million worldwide.
yeah, I mean, it also helps the World Cup's favor that they're on in every country that they air in, whether it's a U.S. broadcast or whatever language broadcast you're watching, that helps. Now, the NFL does that too, but I think there's more fans internationally of soccer than there is of football. So that's going to help that number for soccer raise up because more countries are going to be more interested in soccer than they are in the NFL. So, but yeah, I've always called it a low-hanging fruit, comparing things to the NFL. By the way, and this is going to have to do with, I don't know if we were going to do the Ward Manual story or if we're anywhere near that yet.
It's at the very end of press clippings, but what do you got?
So a story just broke about 2 hours ago from Rachel Bachman of Wall Street Journal. This is interesting. A year before Michigan football coach Sharon Moore was fired for an inappropriate relationship with a staff member, which was the whole story we covered, the school's athletic director told him not to travel with her.
Interesting.
According to a law firm investigation.
And we should know more about that on Thursday.
So apparently they knew about this. So that's even worse. That they said don't travel with her, and he did it anyway.
With that, Nick, from one thing involving the U.S. Involving soccer to another thing involving soccer with former ESPN radio host Ryan Russillo, who also used his national platform, much like Colin Cowherd, to push back against the massive wave of reactionary sports media criticism following Team USA's loss to Belgium on Monday. Russillo labeled the sudden rush of mainstream sports analysts weighing in on soccer operations as lazy 4-year drive-by commentary from pundits who ignore the sport until the World Cup arrives every 4 years. Nick, is Russillo spot on about the media being lazy here, or is it a completely fair game for mainstream pundits to crush the U.S. national team whenever they fail on the world stage every 4 years?
He's right. I mean, I think people need to give soccer more of a chance, but for people, I don't know. I find it's a lazy, low-hanging fruit take to say, all right, I watched Team USA. Now I did my watching. I'll see you in 2030, or I'll see you at the spring and summer of 27 when the women compete.
Right.
I think people just don't understand the vitriol, the entertainment of soccer. And I think people need to give it more of a chance. Now, I think that soccer is more of a niche fan base, not because of the size. I'm saying that it's more of a niche sport to get into, if you know what I'm saying, where it's not the fan base size. I know the fan base size is big, especially internationally, but people who like soccer sometimes don't necessarily like the bigger market sports, is what I've noticed. So as a soccer fan, like, you don't like the NFL or some other big time sports. Sometimes you use soccer to replace the NFL watching.
Precisely.
So a lot of people who watch soccer, maybe they don't watch because they're international fans. Maybe they don't watch Major League Baseball, or they don't watch the NBA because they're more of international fans. Or maybe they watch the Euro League, which is the other form of basketball away from the NBA. So I think he's right from the standpoint of people need to give it a chance and not make ignorant takes when it comes to watching soccer. Oh, I tuned in to be a fake Team USA fan, and then I'm not going to watch for another 4 years. It's just a lazy take. And you need to, if you want to watch soccer, watch soccer. If you're not going to watch soccer, don't watch soccer. You can't be in the middle.
And that's why I said what I said last week is that now once the World Cup ends, you go and support your local clubs in San Diego, in New York, what have you. By the way, the one thing that D-Mart did get right, Nick, is about the passion that the soccer fans have. Here's a little sneak peek, a little snippet, I should say, of where I stand for every game I go to for SDFC in Major League Soccer. Here's just a little taste of what you can expect in San Diego, California for soccer. I would show you another video, but I'm shirtless in it, so I'm not going to do that.
No, that makes total sense. Like the passion of soccer fans, I would say, is number one compared to a lot of other sports. But I think, and I said this to you, and I think this is a problem, at least for MLS, is the whole Apple deal.
Right.
And when you're behind a paywall, how do you expect fans to get into watching if they can't find it?
Yeah, and thankfully, I think when they first come back on Thursday, they have a doubleheader on Fox involving Nashville playing Atlanta and El Tráfico from Los Angeles.
But I think they need to cut that deal and get out of it. Like, you notice they changed the terms because I think they're doing their best to try to get out of this deal. Like,
yeah, it was a secondary paywall you had to pay to watch every game beyond another paywall after you paid for Apple TV Plus.
Which is ridiculous. Like, if you look at Netflix, you don't have to pay extra for sports. I mean, it's one of those things where you're just like, are you freaking kidding me? And all that stuff, and you can't find it. We have an update on MLBPA negotiations with MLB players' participation in the 2028 Olympics.
Oh, yes. This is another big story. What do we got from Mr. Nightingale?
Well, this is awful announcing. They put a story out. The World Baseball Classic has been an exciting showcase for baseball on the international stage, but some MLB players, including Bryce Harper, have lamented their inability to taste a gold medal on an Olympic podium.
Right.
He says that I've been fighting for LA 28 for a long time. I think my whole career I've been trying to get something started or something coming up. Obviously, the WBC has been great, but it's not the Olympics. Last year, MLB Commissioner Rob Manfred opened the door to MLB participation in LA 28, provided the ball clubs agree. MLB has since garnered support from owners, but according to Jeff Passan, disagreements with the MLBPA over hotel rooms, tickets, and a mandatory participation agreement have threatened the proceedings. So it's some money. Can we just call a spade a spade?
Worry about the lockout first, then you can worry about the Olympic Games in 2 years, which, by the way, do start 2 years from today in Los Angeles, California.
Per emails obtained by ESPN, the MLBPA has balked at LA 28's current proposal, instead seeking a deal similar to the one struck between the Olympic Committee, NHL, and NHLPA. I'm assuming that's for the break in the middle of the season. That paved the way for NHL stars to return to 2026 Milano Cortina games after a 12-year absence.
That wiped out the whole month of February, except for, I think, two games for the entire NHL, like 2 or 3 games at most for the whole month.
For the MLB's part, the league is seeking assurances that its top stars will be showcased on the Olympic stage via a mandatory participation agreement.
So don't just sign up and then not play.
That would place violators on the restricted list without pay or service time from July 12th to August 3rd.
That's how long the games would run, yes.
A move the MLBPA has staunchly opposed.
Damn.
LA 28 has offered 435 additional hotel rooms, which are expected to be used by athletes' family members while the athletes stay in the Olympic Village, on top of the 100 reserved by MLB and another 100 for the Japanese national team, which is favored to join powerhouse automatic qualifiers in Venezuela and the DR, and the United States as one of 6 countries competing. Players have been informed that LA 28's friends and family ticket policy allowed athletes, and LA 28 has remained flexible in unlocking the right to purchase additional for each athlete. The MLBPA is seeking fair treatment for its members in consideration for the substantial financial value they would bring to LA 28. This is going to be a problem.
Yeah, that's why I said worry about the lockout first and worry about LA 28 when that time rolls around.
Hockey players did not sign their agreement until 209 days before the start of the 2026 Milano Cortina Games. LA 28 is still 720 days away.
2 years away starting today.
But with an all-star game, okay, this was the other thing that came up.
All-star game.
With an all-star game at Oracle Park in San Francisco to schedule around, the need for urgency is a touch more pressing in this case.
Again, worry about next season first.
How about just cancel the All-Star game that year?
Yeah, I mean, that's what the NHL did.
Do you really? MLB's motives are in the wrong place, in my opinion. If you want to showcase your biggest names, first of all, you're not going to have enough players. Yes.
Nick, if there is a season in 2027, we do, in fact, know where the game will be played next year if there's a season.
Where?
Wrigley Field in Chicago, Illinois, the home of the Cubs.
Wow, so we're really going Chicago. The WNBA All-Star game this year in Chicago. And this will be the 4th time that the Cubs and Wrigley Field have hosted the All-Star game, and the 8th time combined between the Cubs and White Sox hosting the ASG, most recently 2003. Dang. Wow. That's kind of crazy.
It'll be a year from yesterday, July 13th of 2027, if there's a season.
Oh, my God. Did this story really just come out? Update on the Bam Adebayo and Tyler Hero situation.
All right. What do we got?
And this is why I can't stand certain things that people do in the media.
What do we got?
Longtime Heat beat reporter for the Sun Sentinel, Ira Winderman, recently appeared on WQAM afternoon show Hochman, Crowder, and Salona in Miami, where he discussed the altercation between Hero and Adebayo. And Winderman all but claimed Hero may have deserved to be punched.
Why?
In the tweet, well, there's a tweet and then there's some quotes. So here's the quote. Doesn't Tyler Hero have the kind of face that makes you want to punch him in the face?
What? Okay. Wow. Really, man? You're going to go there?
Wait. Quote, doesn't he just have that kind of look? He's that kind of guy. He's the instigator in high school who is always doing the little digs until it becomes too much. But this time he put it out worldwide on social media instead. I don't want to say he had what was coming to him, but it sort of was. You do something like that, there's going to be pushback. Now the question is whether it was the pushback or it was punchback. But you know what? You play the wise ass. You play that kind of character. That's what's going to happen. This is what?
Are you a fan or are you supposed to be covering the franchise here, Skippy? Holy hell, man.
First of all, whoa. Like, first of all, to say he's got a punchable face.
That wasn't my point. Are you a fan of the team or are you supposed to be covering the team as your job as a media personnel member?
Well, longtime Heat beat reporter for the Sun Sentinel.
Yeah, that's not right. That is absolutely not right.
I don't know what the point of saying that was, unless he was just looking to go viral, like for anything, but when Hero was dealt, Winderman argued, oh, wait, little contradictory quote about to come out here. When Hero was dealt, Winderman argued he deserved to be better appreciated by the Heat fans. Winderman is arguing Hero may have deserved to be punched, while also questioning whether Milwaukee should now think hard about how giving that punchable face a max extension. This is ridiculous.
Yeah, that is a terrible, terrible take.
No one deserves to be punched. I don't care if you're a jerk, an asshole, you do things. No one deserves to be punched in the face. First of all, saying he's got a punchable face and that he deserves it.
That's pretty sad.
Ira Winderman should be fired by the Sun Sentinel.
Yeah, that's absolutely pathetic.
I understand, like, maybe you didn't like what happened. You could have just said, I don't like what the two players did. Why did you have to say, well, what about Bam Adebayo? Well, that shows he's got a clear bias for the players that are still on the team.
Unreal.
Oh, well, he's not in our orbit anymore, so I'm just going to say he has a punchable face. Whatever.
Yeah. All right, Nick. We're against the clock here for ATB Sports coming up in about an hour's time, so you'll have to skip a few things, get to press clippings here. We'll get to these real quick. Fresh TV viewership metrics reveal promising audience growth for networks for number of TVs. Newly established ESPN Women's Sports Sunday programming blocks, frequently pacing competitively with standard regular season baseball broadcast. The legacy sports packages will still hold the crown as Sunday Night Baseball on NBC continues to overwhelmingly dominate the weekend sports TV market share. Nick, can these dedicated blocks, though, for Women's Sports Sundays grow into a permanent fixture for a network like ESPN, or will they always struggle to clip the audience size of either SNB or, of course, Sunday Night Football?
Well, they're going to get destroyed once Sunday Night Football comes back.
Yeah, and again, folks, even I know that. As someone who hates the NFL, even I know that's going to be happening.
I'm not saying it's a good thing. I'm just talking about just reality of the situation. The numbers were good. I think they averaged, over 1 million viewers? And people go, oh, 1 million viewers, it's not that much. Okay. I think Sunday Night Baseball was averaging like 3.5 million. It's not that far off. I mean,
yeah.
Now, if Cathy continues to do the bullshit that she's polling,
been doing forever, exactly,
you're going to lose more fans. If they could figure out how to market that Women's Sports Sunday properly, maybe they can make a huge fan base out of Women's Sports Sunday. Who knows?
Yeah, I mean, so far I think it's been done well with some of the WNBA games and what have you. With NWSL action too, as well. Even though I watched the Wave play on Saturday on Ion, Ion's done great though with that and whatnot. So, I mean, yeah, I mean they're not going to be able to compete with the, with Sunday Night Baseball or football. But at least though that it in a way is a good alternate programming option. But also that when you're in a slow season though, Nick, like we are right now, this works out perfectly.
And the thing is,
until the fall comes around.
The last quick thing I'll say about this, and I know to Nick DiMartino, this might be a ridiculous thing I'm about to say, but not everyone is an NFL fan.
Hi, hello,
or a college football fan or whatever.
Hi, hello, FCS 1AA.
Now, am I the biggest college football fan? No. I've watched a lot more because I do like it a lot more now? Yeah. But just because the NFL and college football are the most popular doesn't mean everybody likes it.
Hi, hello.
All right, let's continue.
With that, Nick, speaking of college athletics, shockwaves financially have hit the Big Ten Conference as the University of Washington's Board of Regents officially released their upcoming athletic operating budget projections for the upcoming fiscal year, which shows, Nick, a painful $16 million negative cash flow for the upcoming fiscal year, highlighting the massive financial strain facing major programs adjusting to the modern-day college landscape. Think of a program like UW is staring down a $60 million budget deficit in a powerhouse conference like the Big Ten. Is the current college sports business model officially broken? It's been broken forever. What are we talking about here?
I have one word and one word only. NIL. That's pretty much all I can say about it, to be honest.
NIL and conference realignment.
But NIL really stirred this conversation. You're right.
On top of the fact of conference realignment.
Right, because now you're traveling. What school did we talk about? Rutgers traveling to the West Coast to play games at what, UCLA and USC. I mean, so, and which school was it? Was it this one that we were talking about the flying expenses, or was it somebody else we were talking about?
Maybe it's somebody else, but it was probably a West Coast school though who had to travel to the East Coast for games.
And I think oh no, because I said to you, because you told me one of them had like a sponsor for flying. I forgot who you tell me.
Well, I know UW has a big deal with Alaska Airlines because they sponsor the football stadium and the basketball arena.
And I think I said to you last night, why don't these schools get flying airline sponsors to cover the expenses? Duh. But they don't. But it's NIL. That's a strict reason.
USD football was doing all this cross-country travel BS when it was cool before all of you Nimrods began to do so at the Division I level. Simple as that.
And it probably was a nightmare.
It still is. I mean, our closest team is in Des Moines, Iowa.
Wow.
And as far east as beautiful Poughkeepsie, New York.
That's crazy.
And Deland, Florida. Indiana. Nick, Carolina Hurricanes and Portland Trailblazers owner, your boy, Tom Dundon, is now facing immense public and internal criticism after choosing to engrave the individual names of his 5 children and wife on the Stanley Cup after the Canes won it for the first time in 20 years. The controversial move by the embattled owner utilized precious, highly limited engraving space on the trophy's ring, ultimately resulting in several longstanding Hurricane hockey support staff members being completely omitted from the championship inscription of where the names go for the team. Nick, does an owner putting kids' names and wife name on the cup over the actual support staff show a total lack of respect for hockey tradition, or does owning the franchise give you the right to do whatever you want with the trophy?
Dumbass.
You know what's sad, by the way? You know what's sad, by the way?
What?
The NHL doesn't have any jurisdiction over what the team does when it comes to engraving names on the cup.
I don't think any league has jurisdiction over any of that. Because
I think the Stanley Cup and the Grey Cup and the CFL are the only ones that people's names are engraved on the trophy.
Well, the NBA is a plate, I think, on the Larry O'Brien trophy. I think they put the year and what team won. Major League Baseball, I know they put a plate on the front of the World Series trophy. I don't know. What does the NFL do? I think the NFL has a plate.
Just Lombardi, yeah.
But I think they have a plate with the team and then the year. So why doesn't the Stanley Cup just do that?
Because the cup has the name of every team that's won it since 1917 on it.
No. I'm saying, but why are they engraving names of wife and kids? Like,
well, it's not the NHL. It's Tom Dundon who's doing this, not the NHL.
No. I'm saying, like, why is it being allowed? Is what I'm saying.
Oh yeah, same thing.
In my opinion, and this is going to sound like a ridiculous question as we're getting close to running out of time, is did the wife and the kids skate on the ice and take a hit on the ice?
No, I mean, and I heard reports, Nick, that they left off an equipment manager who's been with the team since they were in Hartford. That they were in Hartford about 50 years ago.
Emotional damage.
That's what I think of Tom Dundon right now. This guy who's worth what, billions? And
who owns 2 teams owns the NBA franchise in Portland and owns the Hurricanes.
And he's made public spectacles of both, including the whole NBA, what's it called? The when the players, the 10-day contracts and
that they don't send the minor league guys up to the or with them on road trips
because he didn't want to pay for it. Remember, he was making people check out of hotels early because he didn't want to pay the fees. Like, come on, dude, you're worth billions, and you're making all these weird asks of the players. Yes,
Nick, the California Post, a new spinoff of the New York Post.
Yeah. Yep.
They have actually, from ESPN, obtained by the California Post. They have dropped the exclusive on Instagram detailing the scene of the crash involving Matt Miller of ESPN. It is total carnage.
We might have to do that on a bonus show because we don't have time to do that now. But I did see some pictures, and it's not good from what I saw.
Yeah.
But just to finish this off quick, like he nickeled and dimed Tiago Splitter. What he's making $1.5 million as a head coach. I guess the hockey team did well; they won. But did he cheap them out in any way? I don't remember. But
no, he's actually cared more about the Hurricanes than he has any other ventures he's had when it's come to sports league, the AAF, for example, and the Blazers.
Didn't he end up becoming the controlling partner because of the debt that was brought on by AAF?
Yes, and he could make payroll. I think he owned the team in Orlando, I think.
But it had nothing to do with. It's because it was whoever had the most debt. It basically got turned over to him. Didn't it? That league was a joke to begin with, AAF and all that stuff. But you know what? I don't like Dawden. Dawden's kind of reminding me a little bit of Artie Moreno, a little bit, where like he abuses his power and then tries to make dumb decisions and then tries to make excuses for them.
If you're looking, folks, for the plus money edge, Connor Rowland and Nate Miller have you covered on UW Unnecessary Wagers every Friday at 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Pacific time as they break down the tactical ripple effect of the week's biggest matchups. From the underdog effect in the NBA playoffs to the emerging powerhouses on the baseball diamond, they look past the box scores to find the hidden value, whether it's the map behind a 4-leg stabilizer or the chaos of a 6-leg lottery ticket. We find the trends that you need to know. Gamble informed every Friday with UW only on the Into the Bench Network. Make sure that you, again, subscribe to the YouTube channel today at youtube.com/ETB Network. With that in mind, Nick, we got 2 more shows to get through here this afternoon, or evening, I should say.
Yeah. We're going to shut the shop, and then I need to take a break for a little bit because I got to come back in less than an hour to do ETB Sports with Zambando, which, again, we are going to address the Dan Patrick, Cathy Engelbert story further. And we didn't have time to get to it, but we're actually going to address the antitrust situation in California with Paramount. And
Hi, hello.
So, and then we never got to the Ward Emanuel story. So we're going to have to get to that at some point later on. But thank you to 186 people. We were over 190 at the height today. I saw a lot of people coming in and out of YouTube. So thank you. We are now over by quite a bit the 2,600 hour watch hour, 2,600 watch hours mark. So we are less than 400 hours away from 3,000. So do your part. I think we're about 385 hours away. So keep doing your part. Keep watching. Go watch the replay if you missed the whole show. We're going to try and effort some guests again in the coming weeks. So stay tuned for that. And don't miss ETB Sports coming up in less than an hour.
Yes.
And then don't miss Callan's Cranium. Midnight Eastern Wednesday, 9 p.m. Pacific Tuesday.
Full recap of the All-Star game, more about the All-Stars' reaction to the salary cap, maybe have some more info about that Padres ownership story. We'll talk all things following the World Cup semis with France still down at halftime to Spain 1-0.
Connor.
And then we'll talk Conor McGregor as well. And is it time for him to finally retire tonight? We'll figure that out later.
I think he should. I think, unfortunately, hey, he made $30 million to last 69 seconds. Nice. I had to get that in once. But that'll do for the show. The next show is when? If you want to pop that up.
Yes, our next show will, in fact, be next Wednesday.
Yes, you get the extra day this week because I'm traveling at 8 a.m. Eastern time tomorrow morning to head to Mohegan Sun for a little bit of a mini puddle jumper vacation. So
to go and see Weird Al Yankovic ride the bus.
Another one rides the bus. Okay, I don't feel like getting copyright on this show. But that'll do it for the show. Follow us on social media at Press Row ETB across all social media platforms. Follow the network at ETB Network. for all the things that's coming up on the network. YouTube.com/ETB Network. Like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell, do what you do best, and help us hit that 3,000 and eventual 4,000 watch hour goal. But I need to get out of here because I need to go rest for a little bit because I have to go pull early double barrel action. But until then, he's Callan McClurg. I'm Nick Morgasen. Have a good day, everybody. We will see you next Wednesday.
Take it easy, everybody. Have a good one.
At the normal time, 2 p.m.
Yes.
Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific. Adios, everybody. See you next time.